Let's get peppy! Welcome to PEP 240. That's Planet Extra Podcast. I am Chaz Ciadello, a host of Planet America on ABC Australia, and this is an official podcast of the ABC. So say hi to the ombudsman for me. On PEP, we cover all the stuff that's too nerdy for TV. If you're listening, you can find us on YouTube at the PEP with Chaz and Dr. Dave channel, and you can find highlights there too as well. And we're on Facebook at the Chaz from Planet America channel. You can also find timestamps and show notes in our blurbs. And if you leave a comment under our current episode video, we're likely to see it. You can also tweet us at Blue Skies at PEPCHASDRDAVE. That's at PepChaz Dr. Dave. If you want to chat to some fellow peppers, you can join our Discord server. It's on the screen right now or on the blurb of the podcast. But if you want to contact me or Lockie the Lucky privately, why not email us? The address is producer at pepthepodcast.com. The address again is producer at pepthepodcast.com. And I'm really getting good at replying now, Dave. These are happy days as we get into the last 2 weeks of the podcast for the year. And do not forget to subscribe for all that peppy goodness. It all helps. And we're recording this at 2:40 p.m. on Friday Arvo or 10:40 p.m. on Thursday night East Coast time. But for now, let's turn to the man who'll never raise the stakes on inconsequential views. I speak, of course, about Dr. Pepper himself, Dr. Dave Smith.
I'd be very interested to see a graph timing all of your introductions because I think they're getting faster. This one took a little while to take off today, but
I went fast and slow,
It's getting very, very fast. I'm Dr. David Smith. I'm an associate professor at the US Studies Centre at the University of Sydney, but I do not speak for either of those institutions. I will say that the Gerrymanders at the University of Sydney now are beginning to go through their fall phase.
They're becoming manky.
I wouldn't call them that, but they are carpeting the ground with purple goodness. Yes.
Lovely. Beautiful. I actually was there when we had our little our little chat to the punters, and we are going to try and get you a link to that by the end of the year, hopefully.
I hope so.
Yep. I was shocked at how many weddings there were at Sydney.
Oh, yes.
With all these people taking photos out the front of the Gerrymanders.
This is a big thing now.
Yeah.
Yes.
It appears to be. Yeah. Well, and look, I asked. The Gerrymanders weren't speaking for anyone either.
Good.
They've learnt their lessons from you, Dr.
Good.
Dave.
Because all I can say is, okay, I'm dropping my crap now.
Dr. Dave, what are you grateful for apart from plants dropping crap?
I'm very grateful for all the peppers we met at the University of Sydney Community
nice.
Festival. That was great. It was a full house. There were about 300 people in the audience, and I think about 30 of them just came up and talked to us afterwards.
Great questions.
Fantastic questions.
Yep.
Yeah. So it was really great to meet you all. I'm sorry that I had to leave eventually. The only reason why I know that Chaz isn't still there is because he's here now. So I assume that he did leave at some point, but he was even more into answering the extra questions than I was.
When we used to be on tour with the Chaser, we used to have a policy of if you came to buy merch and want to get something signed, we would talk to every single person.
Yeah.
Sometimes we were there significantly longer than the show. So I've been well trained.
Yes.
Yeah. I tell you what, there's worse things than to spend a significant amount of time around people who like you.
Absolutely.
There are definitely worse
Absolutely. So thank you to everybody who was there and to people who wanted to come but couldn't be there. We are working on trying to get the recording.
Absolutely. Well, look, I'm grateful for a couple of things, as I always tend to be. Very quick one. I haven't mentioned Kirsten Drysdale's pod for a while.
Oh, okay.
The Internet Reviewed. I mentioned it today because, look, it's always been, ever since I promoted it like a year ago, she should be promoting us. We shouldn't be promoting her. She's bigger than we are now. But let's leave that aside. Ever since I promote her, it's been really high quality, but this week she had an extremely high quality video which just really died in the ass, so I just want to promote it, which was she's been doing this thing where she was following up history apps, right? You know, AI advertised history apps.
Yep.
And I know they were pretty dodgy, and she sort of got into it. But she discovered that there was one guy who kept on popping up in all the different apps. supposedly one dude was like a historian or something.
Okay.
And she thought, this is a bit strange. And so she tried to find out who this guy actually was. His name seemed to be Teddy Reach. And
Teddy Reach.
And she tracked him down.
Yeah.
His name's actually Scott Curtis.
Mm-hmm.
He's a comedian in America who, as a bit of a spare gig, he reads scripts for AI ads. And he hasn't just been a historian, he's been everything.
Wow.
And it's a really interesting video.
Okay.
We're talking to someone who does this kind of thing for a living. And I'm not going to give away any of the secrets, but it was an interesting video and it really died. And that makes me really sad. So I'm grateful I got to watch that video, and you'll be grateful as well if you go watch it as well. So support Kirsten. So yeah, there you go. That's one thing. But the second thing is, I am grateful for Nancy Pelosi.
Okay.
Now, she's not dead, but still, yeah, her career is. And I want to just take a second just to talk about her a bit, because I think people don't appreciate her. I mean, look, she's been hailed as one of the great speakers of the century and all the rest of it, but I still don't think people appreciate her. Like, I think she did an incredible job, a really underrated job, and doesn't get credit for the stuff that she did. Like, for instance, sorry, before I even say this, the president paid tribute to her as well. We should play the president's tribute.
I think she's an able woman. I'm glad she's retiring. I think she did the country a great service by retiring. I think she was a tremendous liability for the country.
See, that's the kind of classy tribute that she deserves, I feel. But no, look, she was one of the last pros. I played on Planet America a clip which I love, which I'm going to play here as well, because I think this summed it up perfectly. This clip is from 2022, just for the election.
Yep.
When there were a lot of people telling her to go.
Yes.
Saying your time is up, disappear please.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people don't react well to that kind of friendly advice.
Yes.
This is how she reacted.
So what do you say to your own caucus, to these young members? They're, obviously in tough fights, but they want to see the change.
I say just win, baby. Just win. If that's what you have to say to win, fine. And we will not in any way do anything but totally supportive, mobilization-wise, message-wise, money-wise, for those people to win their races.
Could she have been more generous?
We actually showed that a couple of years ago. I
Yeah.
don't know if you remember.
Oh, I've loved that clip forever.
Yes.
So I'm sure I was the one who brought it to the table.
Of course you were, yes.
Yeah. I love that clip so much because it's so rare. You do not see that kind of class in politics very often.
I think you
at
might
all.
have been comparing her with Kevin McCarthy.
Yeah, I might have. You definitely don't see it with Kevin McCarthy. I mean,
McCarthy!
yeah, like there are so many politicians you could compare her to, and compare her favorably to.
Yes.
Contrast her to.
Yeah.
And I just thought that just summed up perfectly about just get the job done. And she did it over and over again. I mentioned on Planet America that she is, I think, more responsible for Obamacare than anyone else. More responsible for Obamacare than Obama. Obviously Obama needed to be president for it to occur. But in terms of actually passing the bill, Obama was useless. Obama was a gibbering bundle of nerves who every time he got to try and advocate for it just seemed to drive people away. He was not effective at all in getting Obamacare up. Whereas by contrast, there were two moments when Nancy Pelosi, and I think only Nancy Pelosi, could have got over the line. The first one was right at the beginning, when she was working really, really hard to mobilize, to try and make it as left-wing a policy as possible. And she did pretty well, but then she was just short of the numbers. And so the numbers she needed were the Catholics. And she backstabbed the abortion lobby. Nancy Pelosi, who obviously cares about abortion.
Yeah.
And she just made a ruthless decision that the way she was going to get the best possible bill up was to throw the abortion lobby overboard on this one. And she did it. And she convinced them to go with it. That is a rare talent, number one, to be able to do that. And number two, like to actually convince, like there's not very often that you can convince interest groups to throw their own cause overboard. But on top of that, the fact that she just made the judgment that to get the best possible bill, that was what would need to go. And she didn't go on her own interests, her own hobby horses. I thought that was incredibly impressive to begin with. That was the first time. The second time was even more impressive. Do you remember the second time? This is a long time ago. But a lot of people forget this, that the Democrats had 60 votes
Yes.
in the Senate for a very short period of time.
That was when Arlen Specter had defected to them.
Yes.
And this was before Scott Brown won the special election.
Exactly.
In
It was a
Massachusetts.
period of about, 2 months, 3 months?
Yep.
It wasn't very long. They thought they'd have longer. But then Ted Kennedy died.
Yes.
That was the surprise.
Yes.
Ted Kennedy died. And they thought, it doesn't matter. It's Massachusetts. We're not going to lose Massachusetts. But then they did lose Massachusetts to this himbo Scott Brown. And all of a sudden, they hadn't passed the bill yet, and they had 59 votes.
Yeah.
Which meant that the Republicans could filibuster it. And I don't think I've ever seen so much panic from a government than I saw at that time, because they'd spent
Was pretty
12
panicked.
months.
Yes.
12 months working on that bill. That's not how it works now. The big beautiful bill took maybe 6 weeks. They spent 12 months with committee meetings and
Yeah.
just slogging through the molasses. And they thought, oh, we're screwed. And Nancy Pelosi was the one who said, you know what? We've passed it in the House. The Senate's already passed a bill. If we just in the House give up all the differences, because the way it works is that you guys might not realize this. The House can vote for something, the Senate can vote for an equivalent,
Yeah.
and if they're the same, then it goes through to the president. If they're not the same, if they're very, very close, and you have reconciliation where you can make slight changes, and then that goes through to the president.
Yeah.
But if they're just nothing like each other, I'm sorry, it doesn't work like that. You need to then one house has to pass a bill to be more like the other one, and you tic-tac-toe between each other, and it goes forever. Nancy Pelosi said, okay, there's no way this is getting up if we do anything other than the House conceding to the Senate. And she had just spent so long bruising toes and working people over to get the best possible bill. And let me tell you, the House Obamacare bill was so much better than the Senate Obamacare bill, because Nancy Pelosi was so much better than Harry Reid.
Yes.
And she convinced the House to just concede and just to give up and just let the Senate bill be the bill in order to get Obamacare up. And if she hadn't done that, Obamacare would not exist. And and activists now will go back and they might curse her and go, oh, you gave up a public option, you gave up this, you gave up that. But honestly, it was a masterclass in being a speaker. And Obamacare was the last bit of actual serious policy that got through Congress that we have seen since. Like 20 years. There just hasn't been anything. And before that, there was nothing after the Homeland Security, I guess, DHS was the last serious reform. And that was just because of 9/11. Basically, policy is dead in Washington. And that one got up just because of Nancy Pelosi. So I think we should tip the hat.
After everything you've just told me, I'm surprised Republicans don't like her a lot more than they actually do.
Well, it was at their expense.
Basically, she shepherded through Mitt Romney's version of healthcare.
Yeah, but
For Congress.
They gave up on that a long time ago.
Instead of telling Bart Stupak to pull his Stupak head in, she said, you know what? You're the median voter. You are Mr. America. You are the one who should decide what Obamacare looks like, Mr. Random Michigan Catholic Democrat. Look, I get what you're saying about Nancy Pelosi. And yes, in this way, she's a very skilled legislator. And for people who are very fond of invoking the term politics is the art of the possible. Nancy Pelosi is absolutely who you want. So Nancy Pelosi rose to prominence as a so-called new Democrat. In other words, someone who thought that the Democrats basically needed to break their ties with all of the social groups, with all of the unions that they'd been associated with, who they blamed for electoral defeat to Ronald Reagan. So she was a new type of Democrat who reoriented the party around donors, around the media, and around senior Democrats. Okay, in the words of one commentator, she turned the Democratic Party basically into the club of the most senior Democratic legislators and their backers. Now, within those constraints, she was certainly able to do a lot more than any other Speaker of the House. And what she managed to do with a majority of 5 during the Biden presidency, you've only got to look at what Kevin McCarthy was able to do with a majority of 5 to see how impressive that actually was. But the whole point is that, managing to do all of these deals under these really tight constraints, getting the best deals possible, she was one of the ones who set the rules about what the possible actually is.
That's a fair point.
The rules that are getting shredded now because Republicans have shown how easy it is to shred the rules. Republicans may have railed against her all the time, but her very rigid conception of what was possible actually kind of created an America that looks a lot more like their vision than the traditional vision of the Democratic Party.
I don't think that the rules were so easy to shred back then. I
maybe
think
not.
The world has changed.
Maybe not. Yeah, but she became Speaker after the Gingrich Revolution. Gingrich showed how easy it was to just destroy norms and leave nothing behind.
He got a lot less done than she got done.
That's because Newt Gingrich was deeply incompetent. No one can begrudge Nancy Pelosi her competence, but there's a really impressive skill set there. But at the same time, like everything you just said, that's why populists have so much appeal now.
Yeah.
These rules just haven't worked very well.
I think you make a good point about her writing the rules.
Yes, yeah.
I think that's a very good point.
Yep.
I was going to say, I also think, by the way, that it's not a surprise that when we will talk about some of this coming up, that the Democrats have done not a great job since she farewelled the scene.
Yeah.
I think that I think they miss her already.
Yes.
But I was also going to make the point that not everything she did was partisan either. She was the person who shepherded through the 2008 Wall Street bailout.
Yeah.
Which you don't have to like. But the fact is, she wasn't doing that for fun.
No.
This is an election year.
Yeah.
What would have helped her, what would have suited her nicely, is to sit
Yes.
back and watch the entire country go to shit in an election year.
Yes.
And she didn't, which I also thought that was good as well. That was like to try and avoid collapse at that point in time. Also, once again, she showed her skill and competence with Joe Biden. Like no one else was getting him out.
That was one of my favourite Nancy Pelosi moments.
Yes.
Actually.
He still blames her for it.
Yeah. That interview where she kept saying, well, it's his decision to make. Like he's already made his decision. He's saying, well, he's got to make a decision. It's his decision. Yeah.
She did so well.
That was pretty good. And on some level, I agree with your emphasis on in a world where so little major legislation is passed, the fact that she shepherded through some is impressive. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm glad you put the proviso in, though. That was a good proviso.
Yeah.
And even in her retirement, I respect that she waited until the election to retire. She didn't want to be a distraction.
No.
It's just And also the timing of the retirement now
Yeah.
was the perfect time.
Yes.
Like she hung around for an extra couple of terms after she was Speaker, obviously to help out Hakeem Jeffries if he needs some help.
Yeah.
But not to get in his face about it.
No.
Not to be undermining him, not to be the second Speaker.
No.
But just to be around.
Yeah.
Like just have behind the scenes.
We'll leave it to the Peppers to decide how good a job she's actually done of mentoring Hakeem Jeffries.
Well, we'll know now when she's gone. And then she's like, okay, this is enough. I get it. I'm 85. So anyway, I'm grateful for Nancy Pelosi's effort, even if Dave might not be. So, let's get into some quick correspondences. Yes. Contronym correspondence as always.
Yeah, I've got one as well.
Yeah, you go first.
Okay, so this is from Pepper Joe.
This is becoming our thing.
It really is becoming a thing.
Yes.
Joe says, late to the party, but if you garnish a plate, you add to it. If you garnish the waiter's salary, you take something away. Very well done, Joe.
That's brilliant. That's one of my favourites so far.
That is pretty good.
That's really, really good.
That is very good.
David notes that both where and whether basically have the same meanings in contronym world, which is they both can mean to withstand something
Yes.
or to be worn down.
Very good.
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah.
Double contronym magic.
That is fantastic.
It's insanity. Now, I'm going to have to go to the ref on this, and the ref is the Peppers, and you, Dave. You can all be refs.
Yep.
There have been a few people start to suggest slang. Right?
Okay.
And like now, Brett, for instance, has used some Indigenous slang. Deadly. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Great. Fantastic.
Yep.
Much better for life. Also, obviously means can
Yeah.
kill you. So, now, I don't know if we should accept slang because there's a whole...
Sick.
I was going to say, there's a whole school of slang which is just take the opposite meaning.
Yeah.
Which is just literally as a contronym, like sick, evil, bad, like whatever. Like you do this forever.
Do you remember in the 90s, Filthy was
Filthy,
one?
Yes.
That new Silverchair song's filthy.
Yeah, so I don't know if we should accept slang for contronyms. It's I don't know. I'll leave that up to the Peppers on that one. And also
I appreciate the spirit, but
Yeah,
it is a bit of a different thing.
Yeah. And also Glenn's also pushing their boundaries. This is when you get into the bottom of the barrel. Yeah, like Glenn's saying, what about phrases? Can we have contronym phrases? Like for instance, lucked out means both good luck and bad luck.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And downhill could mean it's either going to be easy
Yeah, it's all downhill from here.
or it's getting worse,
Yes.
which is, like it's a...
That is a good one.
So we'll throw that one out there as well. Okay, candidate quality correspondence. Two good ones here. That funky guy, I thought it was a really interesting observation.
Yep.
Regarding election results and the idea that candidates don't mean as much as they used to. Looking at the graphs that you showed, comparing Senate results from 2000 through to 2024, I can't help but think that these results more and more resemble the presidential election result as a rate of change that's probably similar to the rate of decline in localized media reporting, and in particular print media. It may also have something to do with more recent presidential candidates swallowing up more of the resulting homogenized TV news coverage, leaving less time to explore the nuance.
That is a very good point.
Yeah, I thought that was really good.
Nationalisation of races has definitely moved in tandem with the nationalisation of media.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then if you've got less to go on a particular small town candidate, obviously you've got nothing else to go on but the national picture.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great observation, I think, from that funky guy. I'm not saying that's entirely the reason, but I think there's a bit of chicken and egg there. I think it's going hand in hand.
Yep.
And in a similar kind of line, David has to say, I partly agree partisanship is all pervasive and so candidate quality doesn't matter on the micro scale of local races. But at the macro scale of national swings, I think the reverse is true.
Okay.
National discourse is shaped only by the handful of politicians who can hold the nation's attention. Local candidates get drowned out by the big league storytellers. For years now, there's been Trump's strength. He successfully bullied and shocked the core issues into being on his topics and his terms. Newsom has had a couple of months in that spotlight. Now along comes Mamdani. Mamdani, I'm going to say that bloody name right. I'm not Andrew Cuomo. Mamdani. Now along comes Mamdani. The media coverage, the media coverage he received was disproportionate to a mayoral race, but the focus on affordability helped spotlight it nationally. I'd say his ability to shape the national discussion helped all the other moderate Democrats. Yep. So on candidate quality, you don't need everyone to be these big people moving titans, but you need someone who is. And to me, the failure of Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries is they simply cannot summon attention for the life of them. They remind me of two people trying to calmly read you the airplane safety instructions while the thing's spiraling into the ground. There you go, Dave.
Yeah, look, it is hard to summarise the complete lack of charisma of Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, but that's as good a description as I've heard.
Yeah, that was great. That's why I didn't let you cut me off, because that last line I thought was gold.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, to be fair to them, that's not their job.
No.
Like, they are congressional leaders. They're not party leaders. They're not like Australian prime ministers. Like, the presidential candidate is meant to be razzmatazz and charisma, not the Senate leader. Like, Mitch McConnell was a master, and at some point in time, I'm gonna say how good he was at what he did, and Dave's gonna have an even longer run up than he did with Pelosi. But the fact is, not very charismatic. It wasn't his job.
No.
Right, but it's true. If one of them was charismatic, it'd make the Democrats' life a lot easier. But I thought these were good correspondences. Yeah. Skyfire Industries, this isn't a good one. Is that Dylan Bean? You knocked it out of the park with Lockie's replacement, Chaz. Newsfighters is some quality programming.
Okay.
Someone remembers me. To be fair, this is a massive slap in the face to Daniel Lynch's podcast, Irrational Fear, which I was on for 10 years. Nobody remembers me from that.
But Newsfighters stood out there.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, that's good.
Someone out there liked it.
Yeah.
And there's an overlap. They love PEP too, so that's great.
There we go.
Great.
Thank you, Skyfire. Planet Britain Correspondence. Keep Up Appearances, Dave.
Yes.
I had to tell you this.
Yeah.
Was the BBC's most exported program ever. I'm not sure if that's still true, says Aussie Uncle Phil, but it was in 2016, and if you look up online, you'll see the article he's referring to.
Yeah.
I'm willing to bet it's still the most exported sitcom. Peppa Pig might have broken the overall record. I'm not sure. It's a great trivia question, though.
Look, now that I think about it, that's not a surprise, because I remember seeing it on a PBS affiliate in Detroit.
Oh.
If it's making it to Detroit PBS, then it doesn't surprise me that it must have been a massively exported show.
At least as of 2016, it was.
Yes.
And my final correspondence here that I'll read for now is gerrymandering backfire correspondence from Kevin. In case this is not covered, what happens in the midterms after the Texas gerrymandering should Latino votes return to the Democrats like they did in the midterms? Is there much chance of Democrats actually picking up seats in Texas? One might suspect so.
This is one of the dangers of gerrymandering. Okay, so gerrymandering can be a double-edged sword. If you're winning elections by a narrow margin, gerrymandering is great because it maximizes the number of seats that you win. But if you lose by a large margin, then gerrymandering is your worst nightmare because you lose everything.
Yeah.
Because gerrymandering in the end to maximize seats when you're winning narrowly is about spreading your supporters as thinly as possible.
Yeah, the ideal is to make the other side have 99% of one electorate be their supporters.
Yeah.
Whereas you spread the same number of voters across 10 electorates. So you just got 42%, 42%, 42%, 42% right across the board. But if there's a 9-point swing against you, you've just lost every single seat.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there is the definite possibility of a backfire. Yes.
Yeah, they call it a dummy mander when you do that. When you gerrymander and then you end up backfiring on you.
Yes. Which, by the way, was something that happened to Sir Joe Bjelke-Petersen's National Party in the end. Yeah.
I should say, to actually answer your question, rather than just saying, that may happen, I have seen people who are better at this than me crunch numbers and say Texas is in serious danger of Republicans losing 3 seats
Wow.
from a potential dummy mander because of the Latino vote, just because of the Latino vote. So we'll see. We'll see. I should also say, while we're on this topic, that Utah, it looks like the Democrats are going to pick up a seat from the redistricting in Utah.
Yeah.
So between that and Virginia and California,
Yeah.
it's increasingly looking like the Democrats might end up either even or in front at the end of this session of redistricting. But we'll see.
Yes. Do you think Donald Trump's going to accept responsibility for that if it happens?
I'm not sure, Dave. Okay. Look, I am damn close to 48 hours behind in my reading. I'm really struggling getting to the finishing line, guys, this year. Like this, I'm just going to get over the line when the holidays come. I'm getting slower and slower. But all the Epstein stuff. I know there's Epstein stuff in the last 48 hours. I just haven't got to it
There's
yet.
a lot of Epstein stuff in the last 48 hours.
So let me just say, I know that Adelita Grijalva's been sworn in.
She has been.
All right. I also now know that it's now on.
Yes.
Like this is the Epstein period of the year.
Yeah.
The Dems are obviously been just waiting, not wasting any of their fire during the
Yes.
shutdown.
Yeah.
It's over now, and now they go. I know I played to you last week, Dave, and we cut them out for time, but some clips of how the Dems were starting to warm up for the Epstein era.
Yes.
The Epstein mini era. I played some of them on Play America Now as well, but just in case you didn't see, this was Hakeem Jeffries, who was sending out the bat signal to all the Democrats a couple of weeks ago. Okay, guys, it's time to start being irresponsible. And there was this.
Well, the Trump administration and Mike Johnson are running a pedophile protection program. That's what they've been doing. And that's the reason why they refused to swear in Representative-elect Adelita Grijalva. For weeks now. She was elected in late September decisively. And Representative-elect Adelita Grijalva still hasn't been sworn in because she'll become the 218th vote on an up or down piece of legislation that will require the Department of Justice to release the Epstein files. And yet week after week after week have gone by and Representative-elect Adelita Grijalva is unable to serve 800,000 plus people in the state of Arizona, all because of the pedophile protection program being run by Mike Johnson and House Republicans at the direction of their boss, Donald J. Trump.
So that was like that. He's still sounding like that air flight person reading out the instructions on the flyer, but at the same time, the instructions on the flyer are becoming more interesting, Dave.
Yes.
And then things really what next happened was the person reading instructions on the flyer, someone set fire to the flyer, and it didn't just burn the flyer, but it burnt both their hands and their hair at the same time, and all their clothes. And in fact, now they're like Robbie Williams in that rock DJ film. They're a skeleton that's also on fire. I'm talking about Seth Moulton, who has just gone nuts.
What you see time and again from this White House, if you're a criminal, you're going to buy your way to freedom with Trump. If you are one of the people like him who took advantage of young girls with Jeffrey Epstein, then we're going to sort of make that go away. I mean, fundamentally, Speaker Johnson...
We don't have evidence that he took advantage of young girls with Jeffrey Epstein.
Right. Just common sense be damned.
I'm not saying common sense be damned. I'm saying facts. Let's look at the facts. Is he in the Epstein files?
He's obviously in the Epstein files, and the reason that fundamentally Speaker Johnson has us on vacation is because he does not want to seat the newly elected Democratic representative.
Right, but you said he
Arizona.
took advantage of young girls. You have absolutely no evidence of that.
I think it's pretty obvious that that's what's going on.
You think it's pretty obvious?
I do. The bottom line is that his administration, whether they're protecting Trump or whoever else, they protect people who can buy their way to the White House. That's what this administration is all about.
What is he doing? What is he doing? The most amazing thing about that, Dave, is that Trump hasn't said a word about that. I mean, think of all the people he sued for no reason.
Yeah.
That is an actual lawsuit. That's a real lawsuit.
That is defamation by American standards.
Like he just said something. Now, to be fair, not fair, but to give you some context.
Yes.
Seth Moulton himself has been accused by some of being mixed up in the Epstein stuff. Not as like kiddie fiddler, nothing like that, but just involved in the world of Epstein.
Yeah.
And he's throwing some obviously rather hard and extremely unevidenced elbows to try and distract, I think.
Yes.
But like the fact that this kind of stuff was starting to happen before we even began Epstein Week suggests to me that Epstein Week and Epstein Fortnight and Epstein Month is going to be pretty willing.
Well, yes.
So tell me about it.
So the discharge petition is now done.
Yeah.
The thing about the discharge petition is now that they've reached the majority of signatures, it doesn't matter whether someone whose signature is currently on there, it doesn't matter if they withdraw, if they leave Congress, or if they die.
Okay.
The discharge petition is now on. Now, all of those three things are potentially relevant because it's the Democratic Party and a lot of them are extremely old. Because Mikey Sherrill is set to resign so that she can be the governor of New Jersey. And because Lauren Boebert was escorted into the Oval Office to get told off for putting her name on the discharge petition.
Oh, wow.
She was one of the three Republicans. Marjorie Taylor Greene was another one.
Thomas Massey.
And the other one, I assume, was was Thomas Massey. Doesn't matter. The names are on the discharge petition, so that is going to happen. So, of course, there has been a bit of preemptive releasing going on, some by Democrats, but Republicans released another 22,000 emails overnight. Now, that might sound like a lot, but that is a minuscule amount of the overall amount. So, the notable things from this that directly concern Trump were the ones that Democrats released first. So there was an email from 2011 saying that Trump had spent hours with one of the girls. The person that he's referring to, so that was from Epstein. The person he's referring to is Virginia Giuffre.
Trump spent hours with her.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, the thing is, though, she, in a deposition in 2016, said that she never had sex with Trump and that Trump never even flirted with her.
Sure. I've spent hours with lots of women who I didn't have sex with.
And in her book, described Trump as, as couldn't have been friendlier. So that in itself doesn't seem to, Republicans still don't want that out there. They still don't want, the name of Trump in proximity to Jeffrey Epstein. But the point being, saying he spent hours with somebody who has basically cleared him and will never say anything more about it, that doesn't seem incriminating to me. In fact, that seems to support Trump's narrative so far. The one that is getting a lot of noise is one that Epstein wrote in 2019. Oh, sorry. I might have got some of the years mixed up.
It's all right. Just describe it.
I'm going to describe another one first.
Okay.
This is the one that I actually think was 2011. That one that I'm just describing, I'm not sure if that was 2011 or not. One that was definitely 2011 was where Epstein was writing to Michael Wolff about the investigations that were already going on by that point and saying the dog who hasn't barked is Trump. Oh, actually, sorry, that's the same email. Dog who hasn't barked is Trump. He spent hours with one of the girls who was Virginia Giuffre. So
Trump would be furious about that. He hates dogs.
That's true.
He's always calling everyone else a dog.
Definitely doesn't like to be called one.
Yes.
Okay, so sorry. Sorry for my confusion. Yet same email. Okay, 2019 was when Epstein wrote, "Of course, Trump knew about the girls. He told Ghislaine to stop." So that is a reference to Ghislaine Maxwell trafficking women from Mar-a-Lago.
Isn't that positive for Trump?
Well, this is the thing.
That's confirmation from Epstein.
Again, that supports Trump's narrative.
Yeah.
Right. That supports Trump's claim. I kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago because he was a creep. Epstein claims he was never a member of Mar-a-Lago.
No one thinks for real that
Yeah.
Trump had no idea what Epstein was up to.
Right.
Like Trump's defense is
Yes.
I had nothing to do with it, and
Yeah.
actually I was outraged by it.
Yeah.
And it sounds like Epstein is backing him up.
Trump still doesn't want this out there, though.
No, I know. Trump
He's calling this a hoax.
Yes. Yeah.
I think this actually supports, overall it supports Trump's narrative. I mean, it doesn't support his claims that everything he's always done is perfect, because this basically suggests that when he found out that there was sexual trafficking taking place out of Mar-a-Lago, his response was to say, "You can't poach my employees," rather than "I'm going to the police." So even though there are some MAGA fantasies about, like the FBI, Trump helped the FBI to take Epstein down.
No, he did not.
Yeah, no, not even Trump claims claims that. So that's the stuff that's been released. Now, as I say, even though on some level just having the names Trump and Epstein in proximity is bad, in terms of, overall what was Trump's role in this, I certainly don't think that this adds anything new and incriminating.
Yeah. But he'd still hate it.
Yeah. There's some bad stuff for some other people.
Yeah.
So there was an Obama lawyer called Kathleen Rumler, I think her name was.
Don't know.
And one of the emails, she wrote to Epstein when she was in New York for the UN General Assembly and said, most girls don't have to deal with this crap. And Epstein wrote back, "Girls, don't make me restart a bad habit." Yeah. And this was not followed by a torrent of condemnation. It was followed by them then discussing what their plans were for the for the UN General Assembly.
Yeah, sure.
So that's bad. That suggests that Epstein was basically openly confessing and
joking about it.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
You know who else doesn't look good? Larry Summers. Yeah. Larry Summers took some opportunity. He was giving Epstein his sort of rundown of political events in 2017, which included a complaint about how there are people who want to say that, murdering your child shouldn't be an impediment to getting into Harvard, but, hit on some women 10 years ago. Yeah. So Larry, choosing Epstein to complain to.
Yeah.
About that. This is 2017. Yeah, that does not look good for Larry Summers.
Okay. Oh.
So, that's the state of the emails so far.
Fair enough. I'm sure there will be more. Thank you for that, Dave, because as I said, I have no idea. Oh, the only other thing I'd add to this update is Ghislaine Maxwell does appear to be formally applying for a commutation for a prison sentence, even though Donald Trump keeps on acting like he has no idea about it. He's, what are you talking about? What's a commutation? Who's a Ghislaine?
Yeah. And let me restate, I don't think that Donald Trump actually looks good from any of this.
No.
He just doesn't look like a criminal.
Yeah, he did. Well, he doesn't look like Seth Moulton's right.
No.
That's right.
Yeah.
Also, Ghislaine Maxwell in this weird camp that she's in is apparently one of the top officials. Jamie Raskin has written a letter.
Yes.
Detailing a bunch of complaints about the way she's been treated.
Yes.
Well, okay, so you know about it. So apparently one of the top officials complained, quote, that he is sick of having to be Maxwell's bitch. One of the officials at the prison camp. And how she's receiving special favours such as customised meals, personally delivered to her cell, after hours time in the private exercise area, and access to a service puppy. Isn't that nice? A service puppy.
And also, someone very special came to visit her.
Yes.
Don't know who it was, but probably an administration lawyer.
But they locked everyone up to steam the place.
Yes. Yeah.
Steam the
To
place.
steam clean the prison.
Yeah, the camp.
Yeah. Everybody had to be locked up.
Yep. Yeah. And also...
And all of this was in exchange for her saying that Trump was a perfect gentleman at Mar-a-Lago.
Doesn't take much. And also she has private meetings, steam cleaned meetings with visitors, complete with snacks as well, and that they're allowed to bring computers, which allows Maxwell to potentially have unmonitored communications with the outside world. She'd never break the rules. Not our Ghislaine. Anyway, so it did. But even it's so weird. Even if she had something
there are going
positive
to be
to say,
kids listening to this saying, "My parents have stricter rules than this."
Yes, totally. I just don't get why he's been so nice to her. Like she hasn't done that much for him.
As I say, when you look at all the evidence that's actually there, the emails and the reports and everything, as I say, Trump doesn't look like a criminal. It's only these reactions to it that make you think that there's more going on.
That's true. Yeah, there's nothing more sus than the way Ghislaine Maxwell's been treated.
Yeah.
Okay. Look,
I'm not saying there is more going on.
No,
I'm just
but
saying
that's
that
what sus,
if Trump wanted to allay people's concerns, he probably wouldn't be so nice to Ghislaine Maxwell.
I've got a Comey update. I might save it for later on. I might end up doing it with you, Dill. Might be unleashed. Do you have things to say about Comey in Halligan? Okay, good. All right. Okay, well,
much like Zoran Mamdani and Cuomo, I just wish I will never say his name again. On that note, by the way, someone pointed out that I was way too generous to Mark Robinson last week.
Yeah.
Look, and you're absolutely right. He did say some vile, disgusting, actually violent, racist, transphobic, homophobic stuff.
It slipped the mind.
I was only thinking of the coprophagia and europhagia, but there was a lot more to it than that. So that's a very good call. I acknowledge that. And once again, let's just never say his name.
I'm glad you did that because that was one of the correspondences I skipped past. So that's okay. So I'm just going to do one more update. I'll save the Comey one for later. It's a Pharma update.
Okay.
There's another pharmaceutical announcement last week.
Yeah.
Last one that they did, I talked a bit about.
Yep.
It's a bit of a beat up, it turned out.
Mm-hmm.
I gave it benefit of the doubt.
Yep.
Foolishly. Will this one be any more fruitful? This time it was with Eli Lilly, which makes Zepbound.
Yep.
And also a company, Novo Nordisk, which famously makes Ozempic.
Yep.
And Wegovy.
Yes.
As Trump calls them, these are the fat drugs.
Right.
We're talking about. He called them that during the press conference.
Right.
Started off with a bit of a circus, this particular presser. And I'm going to talk the people, the guy collapsing. That's what everyone focused on. I'm not going to show you that because no one has been shown everywhere. And number two, I actually found that kind of uninteresting. Some rando collapsing. Who gives a shit? What I'm more interested in is that Trump, for some reason, was trying to put the people in his administration who might be using Ozempic. He was putting them on blast. He was outing people who were using Ozempic. Just watch. You'll see
Why
what I
would
mean.
you do that?
Along with Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Secretary Howard Lutnick. Do you take any of this stuff, Howard?
Not yet.
Okay, good. CMS Administrator Mehmet Oz, he doesn't take it. Food and Drug Administrator, Commissioner Marty McCary, and Director of Medicare Chris Klump. And we have Steve. Where's Steve? Is he here? Head of Public Relations for the White House. He's taking it.
What? I know. He's not Steve Chung. The guy looks like Odd Job.
Yeah.
But I don't know why he did that. I don't know why. I don't understand. All I know, Dave, is that's not normal. That's...
This is not normal.
We'll be hearing that again later on. Yeah, that's how it started. Let's break the results down, though.
Yeah.
Just like Trump broke down poor old Stephen Chung. There are, 4 ways that you can get Ozempic.
Yep.
One, you can get it through Medicare. Mm-hmm. Okay. Right now, Medicare is legally barred from covering weight loss drugs.
Okay.
But you can use a weight loss drug for a different disease.
Ah.
So you can use Ozempic
Yep.
through Medicare for,
Yep.
say, diabetes or
Yes.
sleep apnea.
Yep.
Right? Sleep apnea, it only helps you because you lose weight. But still. Anyway, my point is this.
Yes.
After this,
Yep.
Medicare will cover these drugs for significantly more conditions.
Yep.
You'll be covered for instance, pre-diabetes and a bit of obesity,
Mm.
and heart conditions and a bit of obesity, and
Yep.
kidney disease and a bit of obesity, and hypertension with a bit of
Mm.
obesity, and moderate or severe obesity on its own with nothing else.
Mm.
So that's a lot more people now.
Yeah, yeah.
Estimates are now about 10% of Medicare patients will be eligible for it. So that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
And if you get through Medicare, that's just a $50 copay each month for the
Yeah.
injectable drugs. And
Good.
that's it. So that, as far as I can see, unless I got something terribly wrong, is a genuine positive.
Absolutely.
That's
That will.
that's a tick.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great. That will help
Okay.
a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another way you can get it is through Medicaid. Now, Medicaid doesn't have the same legal bar on weight loss drugs that
Okay.
Medicare does, but it's a state-by-state proposition.
Yep.
Only about a dozen states right now cover these through Medicaid for purely weight loss.
Mm-hmm.
Most can get them through Medicaid for obesity plus heart disease.
Yep.
And if you do get through Medicaid, you pay pretty much nothing. It's pretty close to free.
Yes.
And that's not going to change from
Yep.
this. So maybe there may be more states using it after this.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not. We don't know. We'll have to find out.
Yep.
So I'd say, jury out on Medicaid.
Yes.
Certainly not worse, but not necessarily better.
Mm-hmm.
Getting through standard insurance is the next way.
Mm.
All right. Many insurance plans do not cover any of these drugs. Some insurance companies do. And for those companies, people only pay $25 out of pocket. So that's pretty good.
That is pretty good.
That's not going to change. Monthly out-of-pocket costs of the drugs are like, for some of them will stay at 25.
Yep.
For some of them will be 50. There'll be more. It'll just be based on the company.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yep.
Nothing much changes for the people who currently get it. It remains to be seen if more companies cover it. So like Medicaid, who
Yep.
knows? Fourth way is you buy it outright. The drugs currently out of pocket cost theoretically $1,000 a month, although in reality you can buy them directly from the companies for $500 a month right now.
Yep.
Novo Nordisk says about 10% of its users pay out of pocket for it, and Eli Lilly says 40% of theirs do. If you get through Trump RX, you'll be paying $350 a month for Wegovy or Zepbound or Ozempic. It's expected to drop to $245 a month in the middle of next year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, it's still expensive.
It is expensive,
but it's
but-
not insane.
No.
Like that's within the realms. If you are a severely fat person, that is within the realms of a middle class wage. I think. Like if you're that sick and you need the help.
So there are other medications that people would be spending money on that are fairly similar in price. Yeah.
Obviously, poor people wouldn't be able to afford that though.
Yeah.
Just to give a point of comparison, in Britain, if you're buying those drugs,
Yep.
some of them $100, some of them $170. So it's not that much
No.
more expensive than Britain,
Yep.
and that's an improvement.
Yep.
I mean, you'd expect most people to not be getting them through
Yes.
direct, but those who have to for whatever reason, that is an improvement.
Yep.
Okay, the question I always ask: what are the companies getting out of this? They're getting a 3-year reprieve from tariffs. They're getting fast approval for their new pill version that's coming out in the next couple of years.
Yep.
Which is going to make them much more money. So this all makes sense, like as a transaction.
I can imagine the pill is going to be a huge boost.
Yeah,
Yes.
I expect it will.
Yeah.
And 2 years, but it coming 2 years earlier means a lot of profits.
Yes.
So this does make sense to me.
Yep.
That's pretty much all they can have. Although Trump is trying to squeeze more out of them. This is also not normal, Dave.
Do you have any issues with that, or Eli Lilly buying a smaller obesity biotech from an anti-competitive
Well, I don't know. Do you want to talk about that? I mean, I'd like to hear it. Maybe you should give us a piece of the company, like I've been asking for.
So
Give the United States a nice big chunk of the company.
So just to be clear, like Novo Nordisk is what, Danish,
Yes.
Norwegian, it's Danish.
Yeah, Danish.
It's Danish. Yeah. Okay. All right. So Trump wants a 10% or 15% slice of a Danish company. And he's so
Or
passive-aggressive,
you
right?
could just give him all of Greenland.
Oh, there's that too. Anyway, so that's not normal. But anyway, okay. So what's your take then on all this? I've given you, as far as I can see, the skinny. I'm trying to organise an interview for next week on Planet America about this, like so I can work out
Who
what's
are
for
you
real and what's
interviewing?
not. Like a pharmacy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. I'm still trying to source people, but
Yes.
like an academic on this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I'll come back to you if it's complete bullshit.
Yeah.
But
Look,
from
you know,
what-
apart from the blatant corruption and stigmatizing, this sounds positive.
Yeah. I mean, like it's not the greatest thing I've ever heard, but
No.
like when Trump does something where you go, okay, it's not too bad.
Yeah.
I like to call it out.
Yeah.
It's not too bad. Cool. All right, you got anything else to say on that?
No.
Shutdown.
Okay, so the shutdown is over.
Woo!
The House vote has
Were you waiting for a
actually-
cheer?
The House vote has taken place now, so the shutdown is over, but the picking up the pieces is going to take quite a long time.
Yeah.
So the question is then, why did Senate Democrats ultimately cave?
Yes.
Especially since the 7 or 8, depending on how you classify Angus King, who crossed the floor. I don't think any of them are up for re-election this year.
No, what an amazing coincidence. None of them are up for re-election this year, and all of them are either retiring or from purple states. Amazing coincidence.
Right.
Yes.
So, there are a few theories about why it was.
Sorry, just before you
Yes.
tell us your theories.
Yeah.
We should tell them what the deal is. In case
Oh, right. Oh, this is a fantastic deal. You'll love this. They get nothing in exchange for a vague promise that there will be a vote on Obamacare subsidies.
That's a super summary, but yes.
Yes. Yeah, okay. You can be a bit more fair than I'm being. Yeah.
I'll add a little bit more to that.
Okay, yes.
So they got full year funding for the Department of Agriculture and the FDA. So that takes SNAP out of the picture for the whole year. Food stamps, that is.
Yes.
The Department of Veterans Affairs and Military Construction Projects. So that takes veterans out of the picture for the next hostage situation.
Yep.
And legislative branches operations. So those three bills are for the entire year funded, right, till September. They continue resolution that goes till January 30.
Yep.
And then for everything other than those three
Yep.
departments, it can be on again.
Mm-hmm.
There is nothing, admittedly, there that forces Trump to actually follow any of the appropriations.
No, there is not.
Nothing at all. I don't know if they even asked for something. So he can just start withholding payments again immediately if he wants.
Mm-hmm.
There is no extension, as you said, of the Affordable Care Act subsidies, 0.
Mm-hmm.
John Thune commits to holding a vote on the Affordable Care Act subsidies by the second week of December. That vote obviously isn't going anywhere. Mike Johnson is not committing to a House vote for Obamacare. Let's just hear what he has to say.
So you're not committing to bringing up a bill that deals with the Obamacare subsidies before they expire?
I'm not committing to it or not committing to it. What I'm saying is that we do a deliberative process. That's the way this always works, and we have to have time to do that, and we will in a bipartisan fashion.
Whatever that means. And also the reversal of the 4,000 layoffs that took place during the shutdown. That is something.
Yeah.
With back pay for those people. And a guarantee of no more layoffs from the president until at least January 30.
Right.
I should say everything I just told you has been on the table for weeks.
Yes.
For weeks. There is one new element that really sucks that hasn't been on the table, which you may or may not know about. It creates a right to sue the US government. Have you heard about this?
No.
It creates a right to sue the US government for any senators who have been searched without their knowledge for their communications data.
Fuck's sake.
Do you know what that's referring to,
I
Dave?
do know what that's referring
Aren't
to.
you glad I talked about it last week now? Every time criminal investigators attempt to access their data without telling the senators, gives the senators at least $500,000. As long as the senator wasn't the target of the investigation. Is obviously about Arctic frost, that bullshit I told you about last week. It's about the senators who were kind of mixed up in the attempted coup on January 6th. Right? They're in the high dudgeon now. And Jack Smith checked their phone records to see if they had calls with the president at the time. And if you don't believe me that it's about that, they backdated the provision to start at the beginning of 2022.
Did John Fetterman just throw that one in himself?
John Fetterman. No, John Thune did. That's very funny.
It sounds like a Fetterman special to me. Anyway, as we can see, masterful deal making here.
Yeah. I should just say, just we roll off.
Yes.
The House Republicans, I think, were going to strip that provision out. I'm not sure if they have in the end because they're 48 hours behind.
Yeah.
But at one point in time, they were saying, we're going to strip it out. That's bullshit. because obviously they don't like it because even though they're not great fans of the January 6th investigation, they're also not great fans of the Senate making themselves rich.
Yes.
So now you can take it from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. So why did they cave in so drastically?
Yes.
Okay. Well, the simplest explanation is because they've been wanting to cave in for weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of Senate Democrats never actually wanted this in the first place. They just had to wait until there was going to be enough blowback for them to tolerate, right? Which is so basically waiting until after the midterm elections.
Yeah, they don't want to jeopardize the elections by demotivating.
Yes, if you look at the profiles of the Democrats who crossed, these are not what you'd call the firebrands.
No,
right? These are not people with big legislative dreams. But these are people in many cases with very long careers.
We should say who these are.
Yep.
Senator Catherine Cortez Masto and Jackie Rosen from Nevada, Purple State. Tim Kaine, Virginia, Purple State. John Fetterman, Pennsylvania, Purple State. Maggie Hassan and Jean Shaheen, New Hampshire, Purple State, and retiring.
Yeah.
Angus King, Maine, retiring, Purple State. Dick Durbin, Illinois, retiring. So, they're the people.
Yeah. You probably never heard those names in the same sentence as the word principled. Although you definitely would have heard it in the context of the word re-elected.
Yes.
So that's the simplest explanation for why these are people who never wanted the shutdown in the first place. Of course, the reasons that they gave, it was all about just too many people were getting hurt.
Yeah, just forget to that. Can I say who you agree with?
Who?
You agree with Scott Jennings.
Ah.
Oh, I'm sure Democrats will be more than happy to open the government now. The election's over. I mean, part of the reason they shut it down was to get through tonight.
I mean, I
would suspect they'll be glad to open it up by the end of the week.
The problem with you, Dave, is when you said that, you didn't have his smug grin.
No.
That's the problem.
And look, as I said, most of the Democrats who were doing the shutdown, it wasn't about the election. It was actually about trying to take a stand, in some cases about trying to use whatever leverage they had, about trying to extend Obamacare subsidies. He's basically saying, oh, well, all of them were just doing this for the election. That's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about the ones who crossed the floor and who had been signaling for weeks.
Yeah.
That they were going to cross the floor.
Yeah, fair enough.
And because they've been signaling this for so long, Republicans felt perfectly safe in offering them nothing. Yeah. It's okay. So, and they were talking about eminently reasonable things like the food security of 2 million people as a result of SNAP. Like the air traffic chaos that was taking place across the United States, where they were probably lucky not to have an accident. Well, they didn't have an accident just because so many flights were
cancelled,
were grounded. Yeah, it's true. They weren't going to get anything more out of it politically. But one of the reasons they weren't going to get anything more out of it politically was because the Republicans knew full well that there was a group of 8 people who were ready to jump ship at the earliest opportunity.
Yeah, look, from what I understand,
Yeah.
the deal had been basically worked out weeks ago, and they were just hovering around waiting.
Yes.
So so that was expected. Also, the other thing I was going to say on the people just waiting for a chance to bail. Remember, I mean, we've been in this shutdown seemingly forever, but if you remember right at the beginning, the Democrats decided they were going to have a shutdown before they decided what they were going to have a shutdown over.
That's true.
Like there was a open public debate.
Yes.
About what they should have a shutdown over.
Yep.
About whether it should be about Trump needs to stop acting like a dictator, or whether it should be about the healthcare was another one. Whether it should be about immigration stuff. Whether it's like there were a few different potential topics. They said, let's take a stand about. So what that tells me, is that it wasn't about any of them. What it was about was having a shutdown.
Yes.
Why was it about having a shutdown? It's because Chuck Schumer got his balls squeezed at the beginning of this year when he decided to not have a shutdown.
Yes.
And so the Democrats just thought, well, we're not going to do that again. We're not going to touch that hot stove again. We need to show we got spine. We're going to show we fight. And so that's all they want to do. Show they fight. And everything else was a bonus. So once they've just had the longest shutdown in history and they've got their little election out of the way, it makes sense. They go, okay, we've shown them we can fight. Now we can get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
It's the first opportunity. I think the people who are thinking like that, I think that's what they're thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, go on.
Anyway, I did read, though, another interesting theory, which I think is wrong, but is still very interesting.
Yeah.
And so that was from Corey Robin.
Yeah.
So Corey Robin said what he thought was really why they jumped at this moment was because they might have thought the filibuster was under threat, because Trump was really pressuring Republicans to blow the filibuster up.
I think
Now,
that's an interesting theory as well.
it is an interesting theory. Now, I think that that's wrong because Republicans actually seem to be indicating pretty strongly that they weren't going to cave to that particular bit of pressure. Now. Yes. Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
That is true.
Come back to me in 3 weeks' time
But
if they'd stuck it out.
What I actually like about this theory, though, is the way that Corey Robin elaborated on it, which he said, okay, so, we always hear that the parties want to protect the filibuster because they know one day they'll be in the minority. And then when they're in the minority, the filibuster is very important for protecting minority rights. Corey Robin says, bullshit. Just look at these people. Why they really like the filibuster is because it's an excuse not to do things when they're in the majority.
100%.
It's an excuse to ignore the left and right flanks of their own parties and not to do anything. That's the real reason that they love the filibuster. And I think he's absolutely correct.
I completely agree, especially in the MAGA context. These senators, they do not want to be following Trump's brain farts around.
No.
And this filibuster is their excuse to not.
Yes. Yeah.
Totally.
And for the Chuck Schumers of the world, when they have to deal with President Ocasio-Cortez, it'll just be one, sorry, we can't do that. Yeah, week after week after week after week. So, yes, they love it.
Not even President Ocasio-Cortez. If they got rid of the filibuster tomorrow,
as
soon as the Democrats are back in the majority,
yeah,
they're going to be facing, they would be facing bill after bill about Medicare for all. And that would be under massive pressure.
Yes.
And
to actually do what their constituents want. To actually do what the majority of Americans want them to do.
And the people who said no were centrists.
Yes.
Who don't want Medicare for all.
Exactly.
They don't want anything Bernie Sanders stands for.
Yes.
And so I do think that they really jealously guard the filibuster.
Yep.
And I'm not saying that it was, there may be a bit of A and a bit of B here.
Yeah. They do want to protect their minority rights as well.
Yeah.
But
I definitely think, even though John Thune definitely gave every indication he didn't want to get rid of the filibuster, I think you jump forward 3 weeks.
Yeah.
When Thanksgiving has been ruined.
Yes.
And there literally is on the news people starving to death.
Yes.
Which was coming. That was definitely coming. Right? And people could have reacted anyway. I mean politicians, I mean the public.
Yes, yeah.
Like, there was a risk there for the Democrats as well. It could have turned on the Democrats just as hard as the Republicans.
Yes,
and no one knew who was going to cop it. Maybe both of them were going to cop it.
Yep.
But the fact is someone was going to cop it.
Yes.
Now, if it was Republicans, and I would have said odds on it was going to be Republicans because Trump has just dealt with, from the beginning to end, Trump has dealt with this whole situation like a psycho.
Yes.
So I imagine he would have kept on dealing with it like a psycho.
Yeah.
I think that there's every chance that they could have been under immense pressure to at least get rid of the filibuster for clean resolutions.
Yep.
For continuing resolutions.
Yes.
So yeah, I think the filibuster was under threat in a few weeks' time. Yeah, at least I could see at least Democrats fearing that it's under threat.
Yes.
So maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. I was just going to say also, by the way, Karen Tumulty, who's the Washington Post political reporter, just swears that this is the reason why. She said they 100% caved because of the filibuster.
Okay.
And she's been around for a real long time.
Yeah.
But so I don't know why she's so sure of that, but maybe. I was just going to say on your other option, the thing about the people actually worrying about people getting hurt.
Yes.
I do think that it's very easy to treat this all like a game.
Yeah.
And but we're getting to the point where federal workers were not able to afford to pay the rent.
Yeah.
Like middle class federal workers.
Yes.
And my mind goes back to we talked this last week or the week before when the union went, the public sector, the public workers union
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago turned against the Democrats. And Dick Durbin at the time said this is a really important moment. We're taking this very seriously.
Wasn't there an English highway robber called Dick Turpin?
Dick Turpin does ring a bell.
Peppers, if you know, please tell us. Or Dylan, you can tell us.
Yeah, Dylan can tell us right now. Was it?
Dick Turpin.
Yes.
1705 to 1739 was an English highwayman whose exploits were romanticised following his execution in York for horse theft.
Man, he got going fast. 34, he died.
I was going to say, that doesn't sound like a full lifespan even by those days standards.
He was in a gang of deer thieves.
Deer thieves.
There you go.
They had so many deer in England that you could steal them.
Well, he lived fast and died young, unlike Dick Durbin.
It's quite the opposite, Dick Durbin. Anyway, my point is he made a real big deal about the public sector union turning against them. Maybe he meant it.
Yeah.
Like maybe that was the moment. When because that's around, timing-wise, that's around when the negotiations in hindsight got into overdrive.
Yeah.
So maybe. I've got a fourth one.
Okay.
And this actually, to be honest,
Yep.
I reckon this one is as likely as any.
Okay.
Which is, right now, there were some seriously bad times happening in the shutdown. About to happen. Thanksgiving was about to be ruined.
Yes.
Right? It's like I said, the food stamps were about to really hit hard.
Yep.
And they had no idea who that was going to rebound on. But they knew that they could set themselves up for a much safer, more effective second bite in 2 months' time.
Right. Yep.
Right? The long game. Right? Republicans say they won't negotiate when the shutdown is on.
Yeah.
I've talked about this before. Actually foreshadowed this weeks ago.
Yes.
Fine. End the shutdown. Let's have that vote. When you vote against it, which we all know you're going to, right? Like, let's not be naive.
Yeah.
When you vote against it, then we're going to come back to the table in 2 months' time when every single person knows exactly how much more they're paying for their health insurance, because right now they don't.
Yes.
In 2 months, they will. Every single person. And we'll know exactly who said no, and that's going to be all of them.
Yep.
And we'll be able to go person by person and say, you voted no, so that everyone at home is now paying 3 times as much for their health insurance. You voted no, and it's a much more effective way of campaigning.
Yes.
If you're trying to actually get the subsidies renewed, then you might as well just keep on going, right?
Yep.
But in reality, Trump is never going to give them up because he would love to not poll badly, but there's nothing he fears more than being seen as weak.
Well,
he hates being seen as weak.
You know what he has floated as an alternative possibility?
What's this?
Send the subsidies directly to people.
I'll get to that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll get to
This
the,
is always
the
his
top
solution to everything, which sort of sounds reasonable for about half a second.
Yeah. Now, we will get to that.
Yeah.
But my point is that from the Democrats' point of view, is if they're assuming they are never going to get these subsidies in the current negotiation period, which I think is a safe assumption.
Yes, yeah.
Then what they want to do is campaign as effectively as possible and win elections through it. That's what they want to do, right? And the long game is a better way to do
how
that.
people's hearts have just dropped when they've heard you say that all this is contingent on Democrats campaigning effectively and negotiating effectively?
I would say from a pure strategic, if we're talking about like a game, from a purely strategic point of view, getting out now was smart, I think.
Yeah.
I think it was. I think the next 2 weeks was going to be risky.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to be in a much better position in 2 months.
Okay.
Like to play with.
They're going to have to be in an incredibly good position for Chuck Schumer to be able to take advantage of a situation.
Yeah. No,
I don't know if
true.
that's anything he's ever done successfully in his life.
Yeah. He might not even be the leader by then.
Yeah.
I should also say, in 2 months' time, there's not going to be any food stamps people to use as a hostage. There won't be any veterans to use as a hostage. Like, they're off the table, right? Also, getting another bite at this in 2 months' time is 2 months closer to the midterms.
That's true.
Like, the closer you get to the midterms, the more it actually will affect the midterms. Right now, this ain't going to affect the midterms.
No.
In fact, even January won't affect the midterms. But if they can get another bite at it in March or April, if they just keep on pushing this 2 months by 2 months by 2 months, getting closer and closer to the election, don't think the Republicans won't feel that heat, because that's going to become more and more of a threat.
Okay.
So from a strategic point of view, that's smart.
Yep.
And also, being reasonable now sets them up for the upper hand if there is another shutdown after January 30.
Yep.
Because they go, look, we gave you a chance. We gave you a chance.
Yes.
And what have you done? Nothing. Like which is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So and again, for what it's worth, Tim Kaine is already focused on the next stage.
We're going to unify around having the healthcare fight within a month, and people are going to see where Democrats are and see where Republicans are.
That's kind of what I'm talking about, right? And I know what people will say. People say no one's going to take them seriously because they caved this time. I guess we'll see. My guess is that in 3 weeks' time, everyone's forgotten all this shit.
You can always count on everyone forgetting everything.
Yeah, and so
that is true.
And so, where are they going to be in 2 months? Are they going to be better off from them stopping now to then?
Yeah.
I think they will. So I actually think this is potentially a smart use of the long game. What I think is the problem for them. And by the way, I should read correspondence at this point in time because it's relevant. Fikizizizzi says, I don't know how many times Dave has to say it. Chaz, stop giving politicians the benefit of the doubt. Of course the Democrats caved. It's in their blood. Which I feel is the response you want to give to me when I say things like that. Is that what you're thinking, Dave? You're like that? Are you Fikizizzi, Dave?
No.
Have we started doing this where we're just sledging each other through the comments?
No. Hopefully we will never descend down that spiral. No, I don't have a comment.
Okay, well, what I will say to Fikizizzi, and to the parts of you that are thinking that, is that I am criticising them.
Mm-hmm.
Even if this is strategically the right thing to do, they did it the wrong way.
Yeah.
Because they did it weak and piss weak and insipid. And they dribbled it out and there was no discipline and it was crap.
Yeah.
Like if that's your strategy, own it. Do it properly. Don't blindside your fellow Democrats.
Yeah.
And whisper campaign so that they end up on TV going, what the fuck am I supposed to say? What just happened?
Yeah.
Like don't do that. They had 2 weeks to spare as well before it got ugly.
They did.
They could have, if they thought themselves, okay, now's the time to go tactically.
Yep.
Fine. Hold the press conference with all of them together, all 8 of them, not talking to their favourite reporters, all 8 of them at the press conference, and say at the press conference, we are sick to death of Trump not giving a shit about your healthcare. Right? Fine. if he wants to starve you,
Yeah.
if he'd prefer you to starve than for you to have affordable health care,
Yeah.
we're not prepared to starve you. I'm sorry. This is not a game for you or for us. It might be a game for him. Maybe he gets his jollies by hurting you. We don't. We're not psychopaths, okay? So you know what? Let's have a little moratorium for 6 weeks. You say you want to deal with us when we're back in session. We're back in session for 6 weeks. If you don't do a deal in 6 weeks, we're back off again. And we'll keep on doing this. We're never going to give you more than 2 months of government ever again. We'll just keep on doing this.
This is very well said. And it just makes it all the more painful. Thinking about what actually happened and what is probably going to happen in 2 months' time.
Yes, I know. But I'm saying if you do it strongly, if you do it with strength, if you do it with control, if you do it with some kind of...
That's not their brand.
No, I know. I'm just explaining what they did wrong. Yeah, that's my view at least. I mean, if they got up and did that, I know they wouldn't. Would you agree that would be a viable?
That would be a much better way of doing it.
Yeah,
because there's definitely they probably had to give up at some point. But yeah, you're right. Yes,
it was so insipid.
It was really, really insipid.
Yes. And also, by the way I just did it, it shows them that you're, in inverted commas, fighting. This whole fighting thing. Yeah. Fight! There are different ways to fight. You don't have to fight dumb. You can fight smart, but just show some gumption.
Yeah.
God. Anyway. More correspondence, Dave.
Yes.
On the circular firing squad post-shutdown. This is actually a David as well. The outrage at the Democrats ending the shutdown seems so self-defeating and short-sighted. Surely the message should be, these Republicans hate cheap healthcare so much they'll stop giving food instead of negotiating with us. So vote them out the next chance you get. Instead, there's actual outrage at reopening the government. That's kind of what I was saying, I guess. But it's different. Do you have any comment for David?
Yeah, and I understand where you're coming from there, and I understand your frustration. Just remember, as Chaz has already said, all of this gets forgotten very quickly. It does. So people are going to let their rage out about this. They are going to have a go at the Democrats who caved, and I sympathise with that too. And I don't think it's going to hurt them in the long term to have that, because everyone forgets about everything very quickly. I will, by the way, just mention a book that I put on the reading list years ago. It's by Paul Connaughton, called How Modernity Forgets. The very short attention span did not begin with Trump, and it did not begin with social media. This is something that has actually been in the DNA of modernity for a long time, but it just keeps mutating and mutating and mutating. So if you're really interested in a deep look about why it is that our attention spans about things are so short, Paul Connaughton's How Modernity Forgets.
Very interesting. What do you have to say about Schumer?
Well, I mean, this is the guy who would not endorse Zoran Mamdani.
That's right.
Even when it was very clear that Zoran Mamdani was going to win. This could have been, even Hakeem Jeffries in the end said something along the lines of, I suppose I have to endorse him because he's the Democrat.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
This would have been a very easy thing for Chuck Schumer to do. I endorse the Democrat in this race, who is going to win by a lot, who is going to, suddenly jolt the Democratic Party corpse back to life.
I mean, the Republicans showed you how to do it with Trump.
Yes.
For the last 10 years.
Yeah.
I endorse the Republican
Someone
nominee.
who's actually going to be possible, and who, by the way, has the message that you want at the moment about affordability. He couldn't even get behind that.
Yeah.
Right. That, I think, is all that you need to know about Chuck Schumer at the moment. He is not committed to Democrats winning. He is not committed to the Democratic Party. He is committed to the status quo. Just utterly committed to the status quo, even when people hate the status quo.
Can I make a really obvious point about him too, which I don't think has been made enough?
Yep.
Which is, there is just no doubt that he was behind the cave-in.
Totally.
I know he voted no against it.
Yes. Yeah.
Like he said, this healthcare crisis is so severe, so urgent, so devastating for families back home. I cannot in good faith support this continuing resolution. But I tell you how you know. It's not just cynicism.
Yeah.
I tell you how you know for a fact that he engineered this.
Yes.
He's actually behind it.
Yes.
And that is that Dick Durbin was one of them.
Yes.
Dick Durbin, who is a lefty.
Yeah.
Dick Durbin is the odd man out in that list of people.
Not a deer thief, but relatively left by the standards of the Senate.
He's a lefty. And also, Dick Durbin, for the last few decades, has been a loyal deputy. First to Harry Reid, then to Chuck Schumer. His thing is to help out the leader.
Yes.
That's his thing. He's the whip. That's his job. Do you really think the whip is so ill-disciplined?
Yeah.
He just went off and just backstabbed his leader?
Very good point.
Like, the reason Dick Durbin is there, let me just explain to people who haven't worked this out yet, is because they were one short.
Yes.
That's why Dick Durbin is there, okay?
Yep.
That way, I'm not saying, when I say they were one short, I'm not saying that there are only 7 Democrats who wanted a deal. There's only 7 Democrats who were prepared to cop a deal publicly,
yes,
who happen to be in purple seats and aren't up for re-election in 2026.
Yes.
But there are some, for sure, who are up for election in 2026 and they don't want to take a risk.
Yeah.
Chuck Schumer doesn't want to risk them. So he got his little boy to stand up, Dick Durbin, and he took one of the slots. That's why Dick Durbin is there.
Yes.
Okay, so the fact that Dick Durbin is there told you that Chuck Schumer organized it.
Yes.
All right, so those who are saying, oh, Chuck Schumer, we got to get rid of him because he's so feckless, he can't even control his own caucus. No, he can control them.
You got to get rid of him
right.
because he's utterly committed to the status quo that everybody hates.
Yes, that is exactly what Chuck Schumer did.
Yeah, I mean, like Nancy Pelosi's gone. The rest of the gerontocracy can go now. In fact, they could have shown themselves the door a long time ago. They didn't have to wait for Nancy Pelosi. But when Nancy Pelosi goes, you should know your time is up.
In fact, I'll tell you right now that the one thing that Chuck Schumer did, Dave, you should give him credit for this.
Okay.
The one thing Chuck Schumer did, I think, I'm guessing, that you like, is I'm betting that those purple staters, they wanted to go 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, probably.
And Chuck Schumer said, no, wait till the election, guys.
Yes.
Just wait till the election.
Yeah.
That's
wait till the election where I'm going to cover myself in glory.
I'm guessing that was his contribution.
Yeah.
To keep him hanging on for a couple of weeks, and then you let Dick Durbin stand up and help him out.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that is the reason I think so many Democrats have come out so hard against Schumer. Because frankly, if Schumer wasn't in control, it'd be a little unfair just how hard they've gone him. Because he didn't want it to happen, but he did want it to happen, and they know it.
Totally wanted it to happen.
And they the Democrats know behind the scenes. They know it's him.
Yes.
So that's why Ro Khanna is saying is asked for him to resign. Got a tweet there. Yeah, there we go. No longer effective, should be replaced. If you can't lead the fight to stop healthcare premiums from skyrocketing for Americans, what will you fight for? Graham Plattner.
He will fight very ineffectively against Zoran Mamdani.
Graham Plattner had a clip, which, to be honest, I'll see what you think about it.
Okay.
It annoyed me, I have to say.
Okay.
But see what you think.
This happened because Chuck Schumer failed in his job yet again, because they do not understand that when we fight, we win. When we hold the line for working families, for working people, we win. But they don't get this. They see all of this as a game. These are just numbers on a sheet of paper, not people's lives. But I can tell you, down here in Eastern Maine, a doubling of healthcare premiums destroys families. That's not an exaggeration, that's not hyperbole, that is real, and it is going to happen now. We need to elect leaders that want to fight. We need to elect leaders that care about people, that care about the actual outcomes of policies. That is why I am asking all of you, call in today. Call your senators, call your congresspeople, call your senators and tell them that Chuck Schumer can no longer be leader.
So, look, that that annoyed me a bit. And the reason why it annoyed me a bit, so I always get annoyed when people oversimplify things.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like when he's doing the whole, they see this as a game. They see people as numbers on a sheet of paper. We need leaders that care about the outcome of policies. You go, okay, maybe Chuck Schumer is playing his games, but I'm sure there are people who wanted to fold because they were worried about the snap people.
Yes, yeah.
They were worried about people,
Yeah.
real people. And the people just go, oh, fight. Some of them are treating it like a game as well.
Yeah.
And not giving a shit about real people and treating them like they're numbers on a paper. Like it's like, I think when someone oversimplifies politics, I distrust them essentially. And it makes me feel like I'm being lied to. And that's what I felt like during that. I felt like you're treating me like an idiot. You're treating everyone like good guys and bad guys when it's just not the case. And this is more complicated than you're making out. So, what are
If
your thoughts?
only every politician in the world was Andrew Lee. Most politicians are simplifiers.
Yeah.
And I understand where you're coming from here, and I did think the same thing. I was thinking, as much as I like to make fun of him, if John Fetterman was here now, he would just immediately start talking about food insecurity of 2 million people.
Yeah.
That's immediately what he would start talking about. The accusing people of playing games goes both ways. But that speech, that was much more in touch with the mood of the Democratic rank and file, to the extent that it still exists, and the mood of the country.
Yeah. There's no doubt about that.
In general.
No doubt about that. Okay, before we move off the shutdown, I don't know, do you have more to say about that?
No.
I did tease we should talk about Trump's healthcare plan. The tweet was, I'm recommending to Senate Republicans that the hundreds of billions of dollars are currently being sent to money-sucking insurance companies in order to save the bad healthcare provided by Obamacare be sent directly to the people so that they can purchase their own much better healthcare and have money left over. In other words, take from the big, bad insurance companies, give it to the people, and terminate per dollar spent the worst healthcare anywhere in the world, Obamacare. Unrelated, we must still terminate the filibuster.
I love it.
Now, this raised a lot of questions, but he did actually elaborate at one point, so I'm going to play you his elaboration, and then we'll talk about it.
The premiums have gone up like rocket ships, and I'm not just talking about recently. I'm talking about for years they've been going up. And he said premiums will go down, everything will be wonderful. It's horrible health insurance at a very high price. And what I want, and probably what you're alluding to, is the fact that I want, instead of going to the insurance companies, I want the money to go into an account for people where the people buy their own health insurance. It's so good. The insurance will be better. It'll cost less. Everybody's going to be happy. They're going to feel like entrepreneurs. They're actually able to go out and negotiate their own health insurance. And they can use it only for that reason. That's the beauty, only for that purpose. And if we did that, that would be so exciting. Call it Trump care, call it whatever you want to call it, but anything but Obamacare. Obamacare is a disaster, just like he was as a president.
Guys, there's a bit more detail there. He's
more detail.
He's saying you need to buy insurance from this stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so what are your thoughts?
Okay. So, I do like the fact that he acknowledged that the US has some of the world's worst healthcare for an advanced industrial democracy. He was wrong to attribute that to Obamacare, but he's right that, this is now. But the idea everyone gets to be an entrepreneur and go out and negotiate with an insurance company themselves.
Sounds fun.
By God. People hate how complicated Obamacare was. That was one of the things that they really disliked about it. The how complicated it was to choose plans, and they, so there was a lot of mirth made out of, Obamacare wonks getting really excited about it's so good, the way that you get to choose your plan. Yeah, so just imagine that, but 1,000 times worse.
Yeah, imagine that with a 500-page document.
Yeah. Everyone is an individual entrepreneur going to negotiate with an insurance company and their lawyers about their insurance package. Do you think anyone's going to get a good deal out of that? Look, he's right that the system of the government effectively subsidizing insurance companies, that's pretty unique to the US as far as I'm concerned, as far as I'm aware. and it's bad. But the solution is not everyone gets to be an entrepreneur. The solution is the single biggest and most powerful entity, known as the government, negotiates with the insurance companies. And they negotiate the prices down. And that is why the US has healthcare costs about twice as high as all of the other advanced industrial democracies and worse outcomes than most of them. It's because there's this ideological commitment to the government not taking on the single payer role. Even the moderate kind of option of the public option, just having public health insurance that would at least compete with the private sector to bring down prices. That was, as we've pointed out, one of the first things to go from Obamacare. And Nancy Pelosi was happy to kick it out of the door because that's another thing that might make poor little Bart Stupak upset. So...
to be fair,
yeah,
the House passed the public option. It was the Senate that didn't. And it was because...
Nancy Pelosi was like, please, yes.
Because bloody Ted Kennedy died.
Please give us the Senate. You can't just blame somebody dying.
In that situation, you can. Unless you thought a Republican was going to vote for it.
Anyway.
Yes.
But yes, Trump's kind of halfway there in terms of his diagnosis of this is actually a really shit system.
Yeah. He just doesn't understand what the system is.
Yeah. And he doesn't understand what the obvious solution is that so many other countries practice, which is some form of single-payer healthcare. Doesn't even have to be complete single-payer healthcare. Like Australia is not complete single-payer healthcare. The private insurance companies still have a major role in, services that are not deemed essential, even though a lot of those services are things that people think are pretty essential. Nonetheless, much better outcomes.
But it's a fact. What you said before is a fact that you need large groups negotiating on your behalf.
Yes.
Like it's just completely the wrong direction to suggest that individuals, like smaller negotiating groups, are better in this case. And look, I'm the libertarian. Okay, I do like the idea of individuals as much as possible, but it's just not realistic.
Not negotiating with healthcare providers.
It's just not realistic in this case. It's the bigger and badder the negotiator, the better.
Yes.
And when you're dealing with this kind of stuff.
Yes.
And when Trump says, Obamacare is just throwing money to the insurance companies, what he proposes is exactly the same
more
thing.
Money. Yeah.
Like it's to take the money that was being thrown directly to the insurance companies and now throw it to the people to throw at the insurance companies.
Yes.
But just allow the people to be able to do it themselves.
Yes.
Rather than you, who's much bigger and badder than the people, be able to maybe force a decent deal.
That's right. Yeah. The deals that Obamacare forces aren't great, but they are, they're better than what anyone's going to be able to negotiate themselves.
There are only two options.
Yeah.
If you get rid of the markets in Obamacare. Because the only difference between what he's saying and what Obamacare is the markets.
Yeah.
He's saying just get rid of the markets. Let whatever insurance company wants to sell insurance.
Yeah.
And the people can just decide. And let 1,000 flowers bloom and the power of competition. That's what they're saying,
yes.
right? Okay. Get rid of the markets. One of two things will happen. Either they're going to rip you off because it will be a seller's market.
Yes.
Because if you don't want to take any of their insurance, most markets can only sustain one or two companies.
Yes.
There aren't going to be 12 insurance companies in most markets. And if you don't want to get insurance from the one or two companies that's offering it, then you can die.
Yes.
Sorry. Right, so that's the first option, is they just charge you more.
Yep.
The second option is they offer you junk insurance.
Yes.
Because there's no more regulation, because there's no market.
Yep.
Right? And so they say, here, you can have half-price health insurance that does absolutely nothing.
Yep.
And that's where we were before Obamacare.
Yes.
And people constantly would have insurance, and they were underinsured.
Yeah.
They'd have insurance, they'd pay for insurance, and they'd get sick and found that they couldn't make a claim.
Yes.
And they discovered that when they were negotiating on an individual basis with the insurance company and finding they have no power whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
So they're the two things that happens as a result of Trump's policy. He basically just wants to return it back to what it was before Obamacare.
Yeah.
Which wasn't better.
No, people do not have happy memories of that.
And just for the record, as far as cost goes,
Yep.
the cost curve has bent down since Obamacare.
It has.
There's been so much less healthcare inflation since Obamacare than before Obamacare.
Yes.
Maybe that was going to happen anyway. Maybe that was a coincidence, but it's a fact. I know that the Obamacare premiums are sky high. There's all kinds of issues there. I'm not saying that there isn't a way to try and fix it. But what I'm saying is just throwing the marketplace away is not going to be a better outcome.
No, it's not.
I do agree with you. The only way you can go is to go bigger.
Yes.
I'm not saying that I don't necessarily. I mean, look, I'm okay with hybrid systems. Like I think hybrid systems are fair enough.
Yep.
But there are other systems in the world that aren't necessarily hybrid systems that don't necessarily use single payer, but they do all use the principle of go bigger.
Yes.
You got to go bigger.
Yep.
Whether it's private, public, whatever, you got to go bigger. You can't go smaller.
Yep.
This is not a milk bar.
No.
And the bottom line is that you're going to die if you don't get it, and they know that.
Yep.
And they'll always take advantage of that.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to go.
Stats Nugget.
Which will lead us into a policy thing. Oh, do I have policy? I do. Oh, that's great. The Census Bureau says that the median sales price for homes sold in 2024 was about $415,000. Nearly a 50% increase from a decade earlier.
Yep.
The CPI during the same time increased by about a third. So,
Yep.
so it's not as much. Why? Well, okay. Well, obviously there aren't enough houses. A 2021 study commissioned by the National Association of Realtors estimated a national housing shortage of 5.5 million units. Hey, they're real estate agents. They're going to say that, aren't they? So let's look at the November 2024 study where using Census Bureau numbers, they estimated 3.7 million unit housing shortage. Either way, big shortage, okay? The number of new single-family homes constructed annually fell 50% between 2005 and 2024, from just under 1.3 million units in 2005 to 686,000 new units in 2024. Now, at this point in time, a libertarian like me would go on about overregulation. And look, I do think there's overregulation. I just don't think you've got rid of the regulations that would solve the problem. Because there are cities that have done that.
Yeah.
Houston, Austin, they've gotten rid of regulations. Prices haven't gone up as high as other places. Still going up though.
Yeah.
Like it's the in terms of actual supply, if you like the city that's actually, I have to be honest, done the best job in increasing supply has been Washington DC when they put in a huge stimulus for construction.
Yeah.
Like it was classic government interfering, and it worked.
Yeah.
I have to be honest. At least some of the problems are being made worse by the Trump administration. Building materials have been getting way more expensive.
Yep.
Trump's whacked a tariff on them, on timber and steel. That didn't help. Deporting all the migrant labour.
Yep.
Not exactly a winning move.
No.
By the way, the numbers which I just read you have got nothing to do with that. That all happened after those numbers.
Yeah, yeah.
So next year's numbers will be worse.
Yes.
Whatever the reason, homes are getting way more expensive. In 1985, the median income was $23,000. The median price of a home was $84,000, so that's a 3.6 time ratio to the typical income. By 2023, the median price of a home was $428,000, which was 5.3 times the median income of $80,000. I've got a graph for you here. This is the growth of median house prices versus the growth of median income. For those who are listening, median income has barely moved over the last, 40 years? Oh, it's moved a bit, but compare it to...
It's gone up from 23,000 to 80,000.
Yeah, but compare
That's
it
not
to...
nothing.
Compare it to the...
Yes.
The house prices I'm talking about.
Yeah, the house prices have gone up, really significantly.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. In some metro areas, median home prices... By the way, that's not real numbers. That's that's nominal numbers.
Yes.
Yeah, so like I say, inflation had probably had something to say about that as well, Dave. In some metro areas, median home prices are more than 8 times higher than the average income now.
Yes.
Remember those ratios I said before. In
Yep.
LA, in San Francisco, Honolulu, price to income ratio is more than 10 times higher.
Yep.
The result of that is home buyers are getting drastically older, Dave. We've got another graph for you here. This is the median age of all home buyers.
Yes.
It's gone up from 31 in 1981. That's the median.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
about half the home buyers were in their 20s.
Yes.
To 56 in 2024. And this year it's gone up to 59. I'll just add to that graph there.
Yeah.
There's more.
This, by the way, is when you see American sitcoms from the late 80s and early 90s, they invariably feature a lower middle class family with one male breadwinner who is in the punchline is always is in some terrible job.
Yes.
And they're nearly always in their early 30s and they always own a 4-bedroom home.
Yes.
And sure, they're often struggling with the mortgage payments.
Yeah.
But they've got 3 children and everything. Now, okay, admittedly, it's TV,
Yeah.
it's fantasy, and there's TV in the 90s was the realm of unrealistic real estate things, the notorious The Friends apartment.
Yeah.
There's the losers in this Manhattan apartment. Fine, all fantastical. But there was actually something real going on there in terms of, yes, the median age was 31.
Yeah.
The multiplier was 3.1 or whatever it was.
3.6,
Yeah, 3.6 or whatever it was. Home ownership was a struggle, but it was something that was genuinely within reach of average people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about first-time buyers? The median age of a first-time buyer in 1981 was 29, and it went to 33 in 2021. It didn't go up that much over 40 years, but now it's 40.
Yeah.
Just in the last 3 years.
Yep.
It's spiked hard. First-time buyers now are only 21% of the market. Last year, they were 24% of the market, just in the last couple of years.
Yes. By the way, look, I know that we've got a lot of listeners in Sydney who might still be choking on one of the first things that Chaz said, which is that the median house price was $450,000, which is like
that's for the country.
That is for the country. We're like a long way below what people here have to contend with. I acknowledge that.
I promise you, people choking in Sydney.
Yes.
If you know the prices in New York and San Francisco and Los Angeles, they're pretty comparable.
Yeah, I think Sydney's worse actually than a lot of those places. Yeah.
After exchange rate, I'd be interested.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be a lot closer than people think.
Yes. Yeah.
But our prices are definitely high.
Yes. Yeah.
The median age of a repeat buyer has now reached an all-time high of 62. And there are now more buyers over 70 than buyers under 35.
That is bad.
Yes. Unsurprisingly, given those stats, home turnover is at a 30-year low. Have a look at the graph here. It's now at 28 per 1,000 homes this year. In 2019, it was at 44 per 1,000 homes. Those who buy, though, are filthy rich. There's an all-time high of cash buyers, Dave.
Yep.
One of the issues is that people are locked into 3 to 4% interest rate mortgages, and they know they're not going to be seeing those rates for quite some time.
That is true.
And so there's no incentive to sell and remortgage at a higher rate, is there?
No.
So it's that is one of the issues. Another issue which should actually be noted, which isn't economic, it's social, is people are marrying older as well. Like, people are much more likely to try to buy a house when they're married with kids than when they're not. And so that affects the age as well. For Americans born between 1940 and 1954, between 75 to 85% of men and an even higher percentage of women were married by age 30.
Yep.
For people born between 1985 to 89, they had dropped below 50% for men and below 60% for women. So that makes a difference as well.
Yes.
All right. Do you have anything to say about any of that, Dave?
I would recommend the novel Revolutionary Road by Richard Yates. If you want a very real estate-centric tragicomedy classic mid-century novel.
Is it onto the list?
Yes. Yeah, it is a searing look at middle-class suburban life where real estate is the real kind of main character of the novel.
And if you want to see the rest of the list, I've never said this before. Go to Facebook, look at the video there, because on YouTube, while we put the list on underneath YouTube, YouTube's got a limit.
Yep.
And we've long since hit the limit. So I've knocked off the bottom of the list on the YouTube version. But the Facebook has the full list.
Yes.
Okay. Let's talk about the policy solution, which Trump has proposed.
Oh, yes. Yes.
On Saturday evening, Bill Pulte, the guy who's been trying to harass Letitia James and Adam Schiff and get them arrested for supposed mortgage fraud, he arrived at Mar-a-Lago, Dave, with a roughly 3x5 kind of something like this poster board.
Mm-hmm.
It was this poster board: Great American Presidents, 30-year mortgage, President Roosevelt; 50-year mortgage, President Trump. And then Bill Pulte obsequiously reposts it, writing, "Thanks to President Trump, we're indeed working on the 50-year mortgage, a complete game changer." What a suck-up. So the idea, Dave, is to spread mortgage repayments over 50 years instead of 30 years.
Yeah.
So you pay less every month and you can afford a more expensive house. I should say that Trump tweeted it out 10 minutes after he saw the placard.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about this policy?
There's something called interest rates.
Yes.
That play a pretty significant role.
Yes.
In this. Over the course, if you spread it out over the course of 50 years, first of all, you're facing the possibility that, as Dwight Schrute said in The Office, that's not a house, that's a coffin. Like, you know, the possibility that you're just never going to pay it off before you die.
You're renting from a bank.
Yeah. You are renting from a bank, and it's hard enough now to get a mortgage if you're past the age of 50.
Yeah.
Like, you can forget about it. So even while the average age of the first home buyer is going up alarmingly, like, it's going to get to the point where the average age of someone paying it off is in their 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is basically a rental scam. And if you do somehow manage to pay it off, think about how much you actually will have paid for this house.
Yes.
Yes.
I was just going to correct you, Dave. You said you never get a loan, never get a mortgage after 50 because you're not going to be paying off. But quite the opposite, Dave. I think that banks will love to give 50-year mortgages to 50-year-olds. And the reason why is because after 35 years of paying, you won't have paid off a cent of your principal.
That's true.
The bank will own 100% of the property.
You're absolutely right.
You've just paid interest for the last 30 years.
That is a very good point.
Sorry,
Sorry, I was thinking in terms of like today's standards. But this is the brave new world that is getting opened up. So this is just turning on the money funnel for banks and giving them a handy landlording business.
Yeah, it 100% is.
Yes.
It is. This is a really bad idea.
I mean, I'm surprised he didn't recognize it as a bad idea.
Trump?
Yeah.
Well, what does he know about real estate? Can you imagine? How does he not understand real estate policy? You'd think this would be the one thing he would understand.
Yeah. But like he doesn't know the actual pain of inflation. Fair enough. Most people in his position don't know the pain of inflation. Arguably, most politicians don't experience it very directly.
He should understand mortgages.
He should understand interest rates.
Yes. Yeah.
Is what he should. He clearly does understand the pain that anything other than basically free credit inflicts on his businesses.
Totally.
His businesses are completely dependent on the supply of the cheapest credit possible. Yeah. So I'm sure that he does understand that, that what this basically means is people spend the rest of their lives trying to, swim through this sea of interest to the surface and never get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, it actually defeats the purpose of a mortgage entirely.
It really does.
Because the idea is you pay it off when you earn money.
Yeah.
Then when you hit retirement age, you've got this wonderful investment.
Yeah.
That's worth what? 2-3 times what you paid for it.
Yeah.
And you can either use it for finance.
Yep.
Like you can use it as collateral.
Yep.
Or you can sell it.
Yes.
You can downsize, and you can pocket the leftover cash as a retirement nest egg. That's how it's meant to work.
Yeah.
With a 50-year mortgage, you're paying off till you're 90.
Yes.
Long after you've retired.
Yes.
How does that work? I don't understand. You never own your home outright. You may as well be renting it from the bank, like I said, your entire life.
Yep.
It short circuits the business model of real estate.
Yes.
And sorry,
I've just thought of a way to improve this.
How's that?
Forget 50 years, make it 99 years.
Well, this is England.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
don't call it ownership. Just call it a lease.
Yes.
99-year lease.
Well done. You did it. And just to put numbers on what you were saying before about interest rates.
Yes.
Housing Wire found for a typical home costing $400,000.
Mm-hmm.
Monthly payment for a 30-year mortgage is $2,481.
Yep.
Monthly payment for the same home with a 50-year mortgage, $2,346. So you're saving $135 a month.
Yep.
Great news.
Mm-hmm.
Assuming the 50-year mortgages don't push up prices, which they will, of course they will.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but assuming they don't. Then over the course of the 50-year mortgage, the buyer of the $400,000 home
Yes.
is paying over $1 million in interest.
Yep.
Compared to $493,000 in interest for the 30-year mortgage.
Yes.
As far as equity goes, what I was talking to you about before,
Yeah.
it takes for a $400,000 home, it takes 9 years to pay off the first $50,000
Yep.
with a 30-year mortgage,
Mm-hmm.
which is long enough.
Yes.
With a 50-year mortgage, it takes 24 years to pay off the first $50,000, which is what I was telling you before.
Yeah.
If you took a mortgage out when you're 50, you literally would never pay off a cent of the principal.
Yeah.
So you own 0% of your home. Well done. You could easily retire and own none of your house.
Yeah.
Under this system. And if there's a downturn in the market, you're underwater. You owe more
Yes.
than the loan.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And unlike Australia, in America, there are lots of downturns in the market.
Yes.
So it's a real risk.
I mean, in the US, there are at least laws that basically say you can walk away.
That's true. That's
Just
true.
leave the keys in the mailbox.
Yeah,
Right?
but you spent the last 30 years paying rent.
Yeah.
So, in theory, it should also lead to higher prices, like I said,
Yes.
because there's now more people in the market who can at least seemingly afford more expensive houses.
Yep.
So it'll just drive the prices up further. This happened before. This happened in Japan. Japan extended their mortgage periods in the 80s. And you know what happened? Higher prices happened.
Yes.
And they had a huge real estate bubble that then burst in 1990.
Yep.
To be fair, it burst for a lot of reasons.
Yes.
Not just because of this. But when it burst,
Yes.
lots of people went underwater.
They did.
And prices fell 60 to 80%.
Yes.
And some of those properties still haven't returned to what they were worth in the 1980s.
Yeah.
Even now.
Yes.
So yeah, it's not good. By the
Yeah.
way, remember the places I told you they had really expensive properties?
Yep.
Like it was
Yeah.
LA, San Francisco.
Yep.
Guess the one place in America where you can get 40 and 50-year mortgages. It's California.
Yeah.
Hasn't helped.
No.
Hasn't helped. Even Marjorie Taylor Greene is all over this one. I don't like 50-year mortgages as a solution to the housing affordability crisis. It will ultimately reward the banks, mortgage lenders, and home builders while people pay far more in interest over time and die before they ever pay off their home. What the hell is going on with her? She's becoming eloquent. Anyway, even Laura Ingraham tried to let Trump down gently.
Oh, really?
He did an interview with her. She spent minutes trying to say, this is a shit idea. Watch it. Watch her try and convince him.
Okay.
And then watch Trump be completely oblivious and just stumble on in his way.
Housing costs are still out of reach, and another thing that your administration is trying to tackle. Many Americans, the average age of first-time home buyers are now up to age 40, which is sad the country you and I
But
grew up
I
in.
inherited that. Look, you have to understand.
Right, but let me get to the question, though, because your housing director has proposed something that has enraged your MAGA friends, which is this 50-year mortgage idea. So a significant MAGA backlash, calling it a giveaway to the banks and simply prolonging the time it would take for Americans to own a home outright. Is that really a good idea?
It's not even a big deal. I mean, you go from 40 to 50 years, and what it means is you pay something less from 30. That some people had a 40, and then now they have a 50. All it means is you pay less per month. You pay it over a longer period of time. It's not like a big factor. It might help a little bit. But the problem was that Biden did this. He increased the interest rates, and I have a lousy Fed person who's going to be gone in a few months.
That's not the problem.
No, it's really not the problem.
Listen to Laura.
Yeah, listen to the MAGA people.
Yes. Anyway, I'm going to say one slightly different thing, which is what this is actually about.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about this 50-year mortgage thing.
No.
That's just something Bill Pulte came up with. We'll probably never hear about it again. I'll tell you what this is about. Trump has learnt one thing in the last week.
Mm-hmm.
He's learnt that he can't bluff his way through the affordability issue anymore.
That's right.
That's what he's learnt.
Yes.
According to Ipsos, the most important issue is for Dems, cost of living, 33%, protecting democracy, 54%. For Republicans, cost of living, 40%, immigration, 26%. For independents, cost of living, 44%, protecting democracy, 22%. So it's particularly independents care about cost of living. That might be why YouGov net approval amongst independents is possibly the worst graph I have ever seen in polling. Look at that, Dave.
That is...
Okay, for those who haven't gone to the video to have a look at this, because this is extraordinary, it shows Trump's first term for his net approval amongst independents versus his second term. Now, his first term, there's a lot of variation there. It's zooming between probably -5 and -15 for a lot of the period. Slowly going up, actually, as we get into COVID, and then when it goes to COVID, the bottom falls out a bit. Whereas, by contrast, the second term, from the beginning, has just flown down as fast as it possibly can. It's now -35, and it is still racing down.
Yeah.
That is so dire. That is telling me cost of living is a problem.
Yes.
Right? Anyway, it's also affordability is the perfect issue for Democrats because they have 1,000 economic policies to lean on already on this stuff. This is the shit they love to talk about, which normally no one wants to listen to them when they talk about this, but just for once, people do.
Yeah.
Also, it's the only issue that unifies the entire coalition of Democrats, all the way from Mamdani to Spanberger. Every single one of them has a different policy about affordability. Some of them work, some of them won't work. All of them sound better than this shit.
Yes.
Right? So that's Trump's problem.
50-year mortgage and negotiate your own health insurance.
These are just two. There's more. There's more. This whole week, he's just been throwing spaghetti at the wall, just seeing what's going to stick. Right? He's talking about affordability a lot, Dave. First of all, I should say, like literally straight after the election, he said, affordability is our goal, he tweeted out, which I found very funny. But look, he's dealing with this in two ways. Number one, he's lying a lot about prices not rising.
Yes.
Seeing if he can gaslight people.
Yes.
Have a look.
If you look at affordability, which they campaigned on, they lied because they talked about, prices are up. No, prices are down under the Trump administration, and they're down substantially. Every price is down. The biggest price is energy. We're at almost $2 for gasoline, and you take a look at where they were at $4.50, $5 for gasoline. Well, I do say this: beef we have to get down. I think of groceries. It's an old-fashioned word, but it's a beautiful word. Beef we have to get down, but we've got prices way down.
I've got 6 clips. I could have kept going, but I've got respect for the limit. Gas prices are not $2 a gallon.
No.
He always says that.
Always.
They're $3 a gallon. They're slightly less. Let's be fair. They're less.
Yeah.
Slightly less than they were under Biden. Slightly. And by the way, I love this tweet. My costs are lower than the Democrats on everything, especially oil and gas. So the Democrats' affordability issue is dead. Stop lying.
That's desperate.
Yeah.
Thing is, you just can't lie your way out of this
You
issue.
can't.
Because people have to pay things.
That's right. You can't. This is what he's discovered, which is why the second thing he's done this week, he's thrown just anything out there. 50-year mortgage, bang, out there. The health policy of just sending people Obamacare money, just out there. He's ordered the DOJ to investigate the meatpacking industry for price collusion, and that is the old faithful. Biden tried that as well. It's a sure sign of desperation. He's throwing cash at people supposedly from tariffs, $2,000 a person. Bang! Did you see about that one, by the way? The $2,000 checks?
I don't think that's going to happen.
You don't think it's going to happen? Let's see his announcement. Maybe you'll be convinced.
One of the things we're going to do, we're going to issue a dividend to our middle income people and lower income people of about $2,000. And we're going to use the remaining tariffs to lower our debt. We're going to be lowering our debt, which is a national security thing.
Just to be clear.
Yes.
The Tax Foundation's Erica York estimates that sending $2,000 checks to everyone who earns less than $100,000 annually costs about $300 billion.
Yep.
According to the Yale Budget Lab, Trump's tariffs are expected to generate between $183 and $228 billion this year. Obviously not enough.
Yes.
But also, if you want to pay down a debt, which he said he'll also do.
Yes, with the leftover.
Yeah. You need to first pay down the deficit before you get to the debt.
And so adding $100 billion to the deficit.
The deficit is projected to be between $1.5 trillion and $2 trillion this year. And the tariffs, remember, will raise $228 billion maximum. Also, Scott Bessent kind of gave the game away. This is all bullshit anyway.
The $2,000 dividend could come in lots of forms, in lots of ways, George. It could be just the tax decreases that we are seeing on the president's agenda. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, deductibility of auto loans.
Why is he saying that for? The very day Trump says that, Scott Bessent says, well, actually, it's just all bullshit.
Yeah. You've already got your $2,000. Hope you're enjoying it.
Yeah. So anyway, and hilariously, Marjorie Taylor Greene is at him about this as well.
The president says there's virtually no inflation and that grocery prices are going down. Do you agree with him on that?
No, I go to the grocery store myself. Grocery prices remain high. Energy prices are high. My electricity bills are higher here in Washington, D.C. at my apartment, and they're also higher at my house in Rome, Georgia, higher than they were a year ago. So affordability is a problem.
The reason I played that is because I'd said on this podcast a month ago that she's running for president.
Yes, yeah.
And now everyone's saying she's running for president. There was an article in Notice about this that apparently she told some people that she was running for president and they told Notice.
Yeah.
Since then, she's appeared on The View. She's on CNN constantly.
Yes.
She was on Bill Maher the other night. Like, she's clearly now campaigning hard on sort of in mainstream sort of media outlets. But the reason I'm playing this is because I love what she's doing to her voice. This is her new presidential voice. So listen to her on Bill Maher.
I would love to know what the Republicans really want to do about health care, which is the premiums are going to go up tomorrow.
Me too. I'm waiting for the plan. I haven't seen it yet. That's been a lot of my angst. So a lot of the things I say are against my own party, but they're mainly my frustrations in Congress. I believe that Congress should be solving a lot of these problems. However, Congress is not solving these problems, and I have Republican leadership.
Do you hear how, number one, her Georgia twang is just slowly starting to reduce. Secondly, she's starting to speak softer and more polished.
Yeah.
And
a lot less abuse per sentence.
Yeah, very much so. Her language is changing and she's just being calmer, more serene. She's just gradually trying to, just bit by bit, just try to turn herself into a candidate.
2028, Aaron Sorkin's going to be like, you know what? Democrats should draft Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Oh, it's so funny. Oh, God. Anyway, okay. So I just wanted to say, that's what this is about. This is just about Trump panicking. He's on tilt.
I just wonder what he's going to come up with in the next week.
Oh, there's going to be more. There's going to be a year of this shit. He's panicking about the midterms.
Yeah.
There is going to be a year of crappy ideas to solve affordability.
Yeah.
Just one after another.
Because the big thing that he really had at the start of the year, and he keeps coming back to this, is that if you bring energy prices down,
He loves that.
basically you bring everything down.
Yeah.
And the solution to that is open up way more land and offshore areas for drilling.
But then they're not going to build on that land.
Exactly. Of course, what we have seen is that because energy prices are, relatively low in raw terms, not necessarily in terms of what people are paying, but in raw terms, these companies are not going to invest.
Because they won't make a profit.
In drilling, because they are not going to make a profit. And there's nothing that Trump can do about that because these are globally traded commodities.
That's true.
There's really nothing that the US can do to change the prices. So drilling on everything is really having no effect on affordability whatsoever.
I'm having a good run at the moment in predictions. So
Yes.
can I make one more?
What's he going to
But before we come back,
suggest next?
and I will remind you of this when we come back at the beginning of next year, because it won't happen in the next 2 weeks,
Yeah.
but I bet while we're away.
A cow for every American.
No. He's going to start price fixing. That's what he's going to do.
Yeah.
Guarantee. Executive order. You're not allowed to raise prices by more than X, or you're not allowed for this to cost more than that. He's going to start full-on socialist price fixing. That's what he's going to do. There's nothing left for him to do. That's the only option left.
Okay. So Chaz's prediction is price fixing. My prediction is a cow for every American.
Okay. Dave, we've talked enough about this. Why don't we talk about, given the 35 minutes of you, let's do you, Venezuela.
Okay. So the USS Gerald Ford is rapidly moving towards Venezuela.
I think it's in the zone now.
I think it is in the zone. Can I just say, Ford served for less than 4 years as president.
Yeah.
Has there ever been a shorter serving president who's had something that significant named after him? There may well be. Actually, I don't know if he's served more or less time than Kennedy.
I was about to say JFK.
Kennedy's got all sorts. But Kennedy... Just trying to think how long Kennedy... I think Kennedy was there
63 December.
Slightly longer than... maybe not.
63 December. So he started in 61.
Yeah.
So you're talking...
Nearly 3 years.
Just under 3 years.
So obviously he's got a lot more stuff named after him. But all I'm saying is... Gerald Ford, he's got the USS Gerald Ford, and he's got the Ford School of Public Policy at the University of Michigan. Those are two pretty good things to have named after you.
Sure.
For somebody who got to be president because the second most corrupt president in history had to resign.
Does the Betty Ford Clinic count?
I wasn't thinking of that.
It was kind of because he was president.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So... There was an interview in The Guardian today with a former Venezuela person within the government who was saying that his personal estimate of the likelihood of war has gone up from 20% to 80%.
Okay.
He thinks that this goes beyond the intimidation and... If the aim is to try to intimidate Nicolas Maduro out of office, that is probably not going to work without firing a shot. Yeah, you are going to have to fire shots. And so the likely, in all likelihood, what this is going to involve is airstrikes. As we've said before, this is what the Trump administration loves, just trying to do as much as possible with airstrikes, with what is probably going to be very minimal risk to the American military. No matter how much they've talked up their air defenses, they're probably going to be able to eliminate whatever air defenses there are very quickly.
But that's not a correct regime change. You don't get regime change from airstrikes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. You didn't get it in Iran. You're not going to get it in Venezuela. They can do all kinds of... They can wipe out all kinds of things. They can wipe out all kinds of people. Maduro is probably already living in a bunker at this point, but that is not going to bring about regime change. But they do seem increasingly serious about the concept of regime change. So serious that John Bolton wrote an article in the Washington Post about it.
That's serious.
Yes, but he did say that the administration was not going about it in the right way. Now, it's
It's very Bolton-esque at the moment.
Yeah, it was very interesting to read about this because he does note President Trump backed the heroic attempt in 2018. Yet it should learn from its failures. And what this is going to involve is a lot of very hard work.
Yeah.
Does that sound like the Trump approach to foreign policy?
No, it doesn't.
To you?
Dave.
Okay,
No.
so let's go through some of the potential problems.
Let's do that.
Okay. Now, one of the big problems in Iraq was that the government that they wanted to set up to take over was not ready for it.
Yep.
And, I mean, it didn't help as well that due to the de-Baathification process, they basically, dismantled most of the security in the country. By the way, I'm not saying that there is an approach in Iraq that would have worked, that would have been successful, but what the US did was a particularly notable failure. Okay. So the Venezuela regime change enthusiasts, what they're saying is, this isn't going to happen this time because there is a fully intact opposition who are actually there, which they were not there in Iraq. They're there. One of them just got a Nobel Prize, and they've said they're ready to take over straight away. Like Corinne Machado has a first 100 days plan. Like they're ready to take over.
And the army's just going to sit there and watch her?
Well, the whole point is, okay, if the army magically disappeared, if they demaduroized the army or whatever, that they're saying this wouldn't be like Iraq. There's actually a government there.
Of course it would.
Government there ready to.
Be totally different.
Okay.
Yeah,
yes.
Okay.
Right. So that's that's what they're saying.
I'll tell you the difference between Iraq and Venezuela.
Yeah.
In Iraq, at least they were going to stay the course.
Yes.
For at least a period.
Yes.
Like Bush wasn't going anywhere for at least a few years.
No.
Whereas with Trump, everyone knows. And I mean everyone.
Yes.
Everyone inside and outside Venezuela knows the first tin pot dictator who pops up and goes, you can have our oil.
Yeah.
Trump will go, yeah. And they'll just rubber stamp captain on his head. And the guy's the president. And everyone's happy. Right? Bye-bye democracy.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that's on the cards. Trump is going to stick it out.
Yeah. So anyway,
Anyway, go
this
ahead.
is how the idealized plan works.
Okay, tell me
right?
what the idealized plan.
You do some pounding with airstrikes, you kill some of the top leadership, you kill a lot of the top military leadership, and basically they run away.
Yep.
Yep. Maybe some kind of amnesty is offered. The opposition is there to to take over, and boom, you've got regime change.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
However, this is really ignoring the Trump administration's own characterization of what the Venezuelan regime actually is, right?
Yes.
Remember, they're saying it's basically a criminal gang.
Yeah.
That it's basically a cartel.
They're narco-terrorists.
Yeah. You've got this very deeply entrenched corruption and patronage going on right now. There is deeply entrenched corruption, deeply entrenched patronage. As we've said, the criminal cartel thing is more of a metaphor than an actual organization. But yes, that is what it's like, and that's one of the things that makes the government so crappy. This is one of the reasons why they have to keep moving Christmas forward.
So good.
Yeah. But does that sound like a government that's just going to run away when you pound them with airstrikes?
No.
No. There are a lot of people who are very deeply invested in the survival of the regime and who know that the end of the regime is probably going to mean the end of their lives. As I've said before, I think that the image that people have of regime change is always Eastern Europe in 1989, where the dominoes just all fall really quickly. It turns out everybody hates this regime, And then there are these opposition parties that kind of spring up and are ready to take over. And these, people look at Czechoslovakia, admittedly no longer one country, or they look at German reunification, they look at Poland, they think, yeah, this all worked out pretty well, right? But that is not how the vast majority of regime changes have actually happened. And what you would probably find with Venezuela is even if you can force an immediate kind of retreat, they're not going to go away. They're going to stay in the country.
Yes.
They're going to develop insurgent bases. It's basically going to be like Colombia. You can beat them, but you can't beat them out of existence. They can continue to make your life hell. They can plunge the country into civil war for the next 50 years. They can create whole generations of insurgent fighters, fueled by the various resources that the country has, which the central government will not completely control.
Yeah.
Regime change is, even if it succeeds in the sense of, okay, we install President Machado, that still means we could have an Afghanistan.
Oh, yeah.
It still means we could have an Iraq, right? So I think that's what you're looking at. The best possible outcome is an Afghanistan. The worst possible outcome is a Vietnam.
Yeah.
It's not a Panama.
No.
For reasons that we explained last week. But one of the reasons why we're updating this week is because the Trump administration is just getting more and more open that this is about regime change. The drug boats haven't even been mentioned in the last week, even though they're still getting blown up.
Yeah, I think they're up to 19.
Yes.
And 76.
Yes. Yeah. But the pretext that this is about combating drugs is barely even being half-heartedly exercised anymore.
Well, what we're starting to hear about now is about Cuba.
So I said that was the target all along. That's Marco Rubio's dream.
Yeah, totally. The suggestion which I was reading about, was that that part of the reason they want to get rid of Maduro is to cut off Venezuela's oil supply to Cuba.
Yes,
because Venezuela used to supply Cuba with heaps of free oil. But they don't anymore. So I don't know what the point of that is. Like at the peak of their oil trade, Hugo Chavez was a big fan of Cuba.
Yeah.
And Cuba received 100,000 barrels of oil per day.
Yes.
By 2024, they had fallen to 32,000 barrels per day, so a third of its peak.
Yes.
So if you cut it off, I mean, it would make a difference, but it might knock 1 or 2% off their GDP, but that's kind of it.
Yeah.
It'll just be clear, we're not cheerleaders for Maduro here.
No, absolutely not.
He's not a good guy. He's stolen elections to stay in power.
Yeah.
He's caused, 8 million Venezuelans to flee?
Yes.
For their
Never
lives.
a good sign.
Yeah, it's 28% of the country's population when they go. That's not a good sign.
Yep.
82% of the country's in poverty.
Yep.
Yeah, he's kind of shit.
He is.
So,
he is, but it's...
But so is Saddam Hussein.
Yes. Yeah. It's going to be hard to dislodge him. Harder than you're making out. And even if you do, what's going to come next could be worse.
Yeah. That's what I always say. The Wire taught us that.
Yes.
It always gets worse.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. And by the way, I know you're saying they've moved off the boats.
Yeah.
But I haven't. It's become even worse. The boat situation. Like I'm not sure if you saw this, but according to the Democratic House Rep Sarah Jacobs, the Pentagon said they don't need to positively identify individuals on the boats to do the strikes. They just need to prove a connection to a designated terrorist organization or affiliate.
Yeah.
Affiliate?
Yeah.
What? Is this Amway? Affiliate? What's the standard that we're talking about there? Affiliate before you murder people.
Yeah.
Right?
And the legal justification that they're using is based entirely on Trump's assessment of what the Venezuelan cartels actually are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. By the way, Adam Smith, the ranking member of the House Armed Services Committee, was trying to get to the bottom of what affiliated means. And he said, quote, "They did not in any way, shape, manner or form explain what the ceiling and floor are for affiliated. Theoretically, I could go beyond whether they're in the actual action of moving drugs." And, also, from Sarah Jacobs, quote, "There's nothing that we heard in there that changes my assessment that it's completely illegal, that's unlawful, and even if Congress authorised it, it would still be illegal because there are extrajudicial killings where we have no evidence." She also said, the only drug targeted in the strikes so far was...
marijuana.
No, cocaine.
Ah, okay.
You know why?
Why?
Because Pentagon officials say the cocaine is a facilitating drug of fentanyl.
How?
I don't know. Such bullshit. It's so bullshit. This is justification for murder, Dave.
Yeah.
When they've been doing briefings for the Democrats, apart from this one session, which they obviously regret because Sarah Jacobs then went and told everyone about it, they haven't even been sending people from the Southern Command, which are the people who are doing it, who are conducting it. They've been sending other people. The other thing is, the original justification, if you recall, is that they were in armed conflict with non-state people, right? Non-state terrorists. Okay. Well, when the Senate was trying to potentially, Rand Paul in particular, was trying to limit them with the War Powers Act, which says after 60 days of the first time you hand in your report, you need to either get permission or stop.
Yes.
60 days was up last week, Dave, in case you're interested. And so Rand Paul was going, okay, what are we going to do about this? I'll read to you. Within 60 calendar days of the introduction of U.S. armed forces into hostilities, the President shall terminate any such use of the armed forces unless Congress, 1, has declared war or enacted a special authorization for such use of force, or 2, has extended by law the 60-day period, or 3, is physically unable to meet as a result of an armed attack on the United States. Now, none of those things happen. Okay. So the clock ran out. They've just kept on blowing up boats. Why? How they justify that? Let me tell you the justification, Dave. An anonymous senior administration official told the Washington Post that the War Powers Resolution doesn't apply because even at its broadest, it had to be understood to apply to placing US service members in harm's way. The operation comprises precise strikes conducted largely by unmanned aerial vehicles launched from naval vessels in international waters distances too far away for the crews of the targeted vessels to endanger American personnel. Thus, the kinetic operations underway do not rise to the level of hostilities. They're not hostilities.
Yeah, it's just murder.
Yeah, it's just murder. So in other words,
when you're killing someone with absolutely no risk of being killed yourself, yeah, that's kind of more murder than war.
So in other words, the administration is justifying the executions of suspected drug smugglers by arguing that the United States is engaged in an armed conflict with criminal organizations.
Yes.
But they also insist the US forces are not engaging in hostilities when they do so. That's where we're at. And just to be clear, Trump is not alone here. This is something that's been bad for a while.
Yes.
Other administrations have been
absolutely,
bad.
yes.
Okay. Obama's lawyers said something pretty similar in Libya. They weren't great. Okay. Not as bad as these guys.
Yeah.
But they weren't good. All right. And by the way, Mike Lee, Rand Paul, Ron Johnson, John Cornyn all had a cow about Libya and what Obama did in Libya.
Yeah.
For War Powers Resolutions reasons. Okay?
Yes.
So 3 of the 4 are hypocrites. Also, should be fair, blowing boats out of the water, not unprecedented.
No.
In 2002, Bush shot planes out of the sky.
Yes.
Because they had drugs in them.
Yeah.
So, or because he claimed they had drugs in them. So that's quite similar.
Yes.
So I do want to be fair about that. Yeah, there's a lot of shitness there, mate. It's not good. Oh, yeah, and they tried to pass a War Powers resolution in the Senate as a resolution of disapproval.
Yep.
Even if they're going to ignore the War Powers Act, they could at least put pressure on them. And they couldn't get the votes, 49-51. You had Rand Paul and Lisa Murkowski voted for it. No other Republicans did. Even though the War Powers Resolution wasn't even about the boats. It was about invading Venezuela. It was literally worded about a land war in Venezuela. And they could only get 2 Republicans to support a disapproval of invading Venezuela with troops. How about that?
Did any Democrats vote against it?
No, even Fetterman voted.
Even Fetterman.
Yeah.
Wow, that's how bad it's got.
See, now it's 49-51. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is this is a depressing topic. Yeah. You got other things you want to say about Venezuela? Or?
No, I mean, it's just going to get worse every week.
Yeah,
the build-up is going to get bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
Until it's going to be time to, shit or get off the pot.
I'll tell you an interesting thing.
Yep.
Trump administration officials apparently told DeSantis that the US does not currently have a legal justification for a land war.
There you go.
They said that they've only got legal justification to attack terrorist groups on sea, but they don't have a legal justification that would support attacks against any land targets right now.
So not even airstrikes against land targets.
I'm just saying what they've said.
Wow.
So we'll see. I'm not sure I trust them right now, Dave.
No.
I'm a bit short on trust. But yeah, anyway. Okay, well, look, I can start on the tariffs and then continue with Dill.
Sure.
Or I can do This Is Not Normal with you and then you can go and then I can do tariffs with Dill. What do you prefer?
Let's start on the tariffs.
Start on tariffs because you might jump in there. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So background, we're talking about the Learning Resources versus Trump case.
Yep.
This is not about all of Trump's tariffs, just about the ones from the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, AEPA. These are the emergency tariffs. It permits the president to regulate transactions involving any property in which any foreign country or national thereof has any interest, but the power may only be exercised to deal with an unusual and extraordinary threat.
Yes.
If you recall, there are lots of good reasons to reject these tariffs.
Yes.
One, under the Constitution, the authority to lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excises is with to regulate commerce with foreign nations is Congress.
Yep.
They can't give that power entirely to Trump.
No.
Under the Supreme Court's non-delegation doctrine. We'll hear that phrase again.
Mm-hmm.
The non-delegation doctrine is you just can't delegate your entire power to another branch of government.
Yep.
Also, the tariffs violate what they call the major questions doctrine. We'll be talking about that too. That says that before the president can impose policies that have vast economic and political significance, they have to be able to point to a clear and unambiguous delegation of such power to them by Congress. The AEPA law doesn't even mention tariffs, so it's not exactly a clear and unambiguous delegation.
Yes.
Yes.
I just want to talk a little bit about where AEPA comes from.
Please.
Okay, so AEPA followed the National Emergency Powers Act of 1976. So that was the post-Watergate attempt to put controls on presidential emergency powers. So all of them. They wanted to deal with all of the emergency powers. And this generally involved things similar to the War Powers Act in terms of if you declare an emergency, it can't be open-ended.
Yes.
It's got to be time-limited. You've got to be reporting to Congress. These are a lot of the provisions of the National Emergency Powers Act along these lines. Now, what's interesting is that the Trump administration is arguing that the reason why its tariffs are legal was because in 1971, the Supreme Court actually ruled that it was legal for Richard Nixon to impose an emergency 10% tariff on foreign goods during the balance of payments crisis.
This is a key case for them.
Yeah. They're saying, look, that was declared legal, therefore Trump's tariffs should be legal. The problem is, though, the National Emergency Powers Act and the International Economic Emergency Powers Act were responses to the abuses of Nixon.
Yes.
Okay, that is why Congress passed these laws. Yes. And one of the things that the critical House committee report that preceded this legislation said was the term emergency can't be used to describe ordinary ongoing problems.
Yes.
Okay? The emergencies have to be something that is extraordinary and that there's some sort of time limitation on it, not ordinary, ongoing problems. Trump has declared that the American national trade deficit is an emergency. That trade deficit has been going for 50 years. It's been going since 1976. It's been going since before the International Economic Emergency Powers Act came into force, and that trade deficit widened during Trump's first term. Okay, this is what he's referring to as an emergency.
Further, we need to remind people.
Yep.
He's also suggested that prosecuting Trump's buddy Bolsonaro is also an emergency.
Is also an emergency.
And he's also suggested that Ontario running an ad of Ronald Reagan that Trump didn't like was also an emergency.
We haven't. Oh, you might have talked about the Reagan ad with someone else. We haven't even talked about this yet.
We didn't have time.
Yeah. So this was Doug Ford, the Premier of Ontario, running this ad with Reagan, talking about the tariffs that he was putting on Japan at the time, but also saying that tariffs shouldn't be the normal way of doing business.
And so Trump added 10% to the Canadian tariffs.
Yes.
Because it was an emergency. He used IEPA. It was an emergency.
Which is just amazing.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, Trump's understanding of what an emergency does seem to be rather divorced from what we might call ordinary language.
Absolutely. I've got a tweet bite here, by the way.
Yep.
This is what he said with the Canadian tariff. Because of their serious misrepresentation of the facts and hostile act, I am increasing the tariff on Canada by 10% over and above what they're paying now.
Blowing drug boats out of the water, not engaging in hostilities.
That's right.
Making an ad that Trump thinks misrepresents Ronald Reagan, engaging in hostilities.
That's right. That's right.
Yes.
Okay, so that is obviously the third point why this is suspect. His use of the emergency is complete bullshit.
Yes.
Okay. Now, Trump, maybe because of those three obvious flaws, Trump, going into the case, was running with a bullying the Supreme Court into submission strategy.
Yep.
When the district court first found against him, Trump, he tweeted out, if allowed to stand, this decision would literally destroy the United States of America. He actually tweeted that.
Yep.
Literally fix everything. Like this. This is possibly the dumbest economic statement I've ever seen from Trump.
Inflation, I've already taken care of. Economically, the country is the strongest it's ever been. Thank God for tariffs. If we didn't have tariffs, we'd be a third world nation. But thank God for tariffs. We're the richest nation in the world now because of tariffs. And we're able to economically protect ourselves. And we're able to really protect ourselves from a national security situation.
They'd be a third world country without tariffs, Dave.
They're the richest country in the world now. Because of tariffs.
Because of tariffs,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't even need to bother rebutting.
No, I just don't need to. It's incredibly stupid.
Yes.
During the Canada ad tweet storm, he declared that the United States is wealthy, powerful, and nationally secure again, all because of tariffs. The most important case ever is in the United States Supreme Court. God bless America. And the day before the Supreme Court heard arguments, he tweeted, tomorrow's United States Supreme Court case is literally life or death for our country. With a victory, we have tremendous but fair financial and national security. Without it, we're virtually defenseless against other countries who have for years taken advantage of us.
It's just amazing to imagine this sort of Trump perspective on history, right?
Yes.
Because the period where the US really lowered its tariffs, that basically stretches from 1948 to 2025.
Yes.
So in the Trump understanding, before 1948 was this golden age.
Yes.
This golden age of, wealth and power. And now we're back. But that period, 1948 to 2025, including 4 years of his own presidency.
Virtually defenseless.
Yes. Everyone was just jealous of the trolls who lived under the bridges. That's how bad it was. Yeah. People had no organs left to sell.
Okay, so that's the background.
Yes.
Now let's get into the case. There are two parts to this case.
Yep.
There are the textual questions and there's the constitutional questions.
Yep.
Okay, let's start with the textual questions. The most obvious point is that the statute doesn't mention the word tariffs.
That's true.
All right, that's where we start. John Sauer, who's a Solicitor General, that's the representative of the government, argued that it says, hang on, you don't need to mention tariffs. It says you can regulate. And one way to regulate is with tariffs. This is him responding to John Roberts asking the question about this.
Yep.
But the exercise of the power is to impose tariffs, right? And the statute doesn't use the word tariffs.
But it uses the word regulate importation. And historically, a core central application of that, a big piece of that, has always been to tariff. If you had asked the founders, how do you regulate imports? They would say, of course, we tariff. That's what we do. So it'd be very unusual to say, we're giving you power to regulate importation, and say, but you cannot impose regulatory tariffs. That'd be almost a contradiction.
Okay, and Justice Alito loved this argument so much. He completely tied the plaintiffs' counsel, that's the tariff companies, Neil Katyal, he tied them up in knots over this question. Just have a listen to this.
Yep.
But let's just start with the bare statutory language, regulate importation. If we disregard all of the rest, would you dispute that that would include the imposition of a fee?
So if it's revenue, yeah, we do dispute that, absolutely.
What if there were a statute that said, suppose that there's a particular national park that's very crowded, and Congress passes a statute that says the National Park Service may regulate admission to the park. Would you say, well, that does not allow them to impose a fee?
So, Your Honor, sometimes we think of fees as not revenue raising, but rather capturing the cost of government services. In your example, the going to the park, that may, those kinds of cases, which I think.
Suppose it goes beyond the cost of running the park. Congress just wants to control admission to the park, regulate admission. Wouldn't that include the imposition of a fee?
So if it doesn't raise revenue, then and it's not about that, then I think that's fine. If it does,
it raises revenue. Then
I think it's a tougher
the hypothetical. That wouldn't apply.
So I think in that circumstance that it wouldn't be a regulation in context. It wouldn't be permitted.
A bit divorced from reality, this argument.
Well, he's going to get to the point of saying, well, according to Warren G. and Nate Dogg, regulate actually refers to killing your enemies.
He may well. He's trying hard, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Look, I got to say, I think the argument... do you have anything to respond to that argument?
No.
Yeah. I think the argument from Katyal, his defense, I thought it was terrible, actually. I think Katyal did a bad job on this day.
He did.
Yeah. I think that this whole... You need to discern the difference between revenue raising and not revenue raising. That's such a blurry line. The Supreme Court hates that kind of stuff. Those kind of vague kind of tests. A better answer, in my view, would have been, you say, okay, in the case of a national park regulating entry, sure.
Yes.
That can involve a fee, charge a fee. But this legislation is not about national parks.
It's really not.
It's about emergencies.
Yes.
And our job is to determine what Congress meant when they wrote this legislation about emergencies.
Yeah.
If they meant for it to include tariffs, then why didn't they say tariffs? They mentioned about 5 trillion verbs. Why did they leave that one out? Especially when this legislation, as you said, Dave, was to respond to Nixon imposing tariffs in a way that annoyed Congress.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have forgotten tariffs.
No.
It had to be intentional to not list it. Even more so, Congress has used the word regulate thousands of times before, but never once to mean impose taxes or tariffs.
True.
Why did they mean it to include tariffs just in this one here? Amy Coney Barrett was all over that particular theme. She said, okay, can you point to any other place in the code or any other time in history where that phrase to regulate importation has been used to confer tariff imposing authority? And Sauer struggled real hard. I'm not going to play it because it went forever. And Sotomayor interrupted him halfway through and said, just answer the question. And he struggled more. It was not a great sign.
Do you think Samuel Alito even has the decency to be embarrassed when he sees actual judges doing judge things in the Supreme Court?
Look, I got to say, the guy is a master at coming up with completely irrelevant hypotheticals. He's very good at that. But anyway, okay. So Even worse than, he makes this ridiculous argument that since these were regulations, not revenue raisers, they weren't even trying to raise revenue. Have a listen.
If you look at these tariffs, these policies, it is clear that these policies are most effective if nobody ever pays the tariff. If it never raises a dime of revenue, these are the most effective use of this particular policy. And I said there's two buckets there. One is, first of all, when it comes to the trade deficit emergency, if no one ever pays the tariff, but instead they direct their consumption domestically and spur the creation of the rebuilding of our hollowed out manufacturing base, that directly addresses the crisis. It's more effective if no one ever pays the tariff. That's the point of it, really.
Look, he's got a point. Kind of undermined by Trump constantly going on about how much revenue the tariffs are raising, how much money they can send to people because of the revenue that the tariffs raise, and even saying that America is no longer a third world country, that it's now the richest country on earth because of the tariffs.
Dave, they put that point in their own legal brief. It's not even Trump, it's the lawyers themselves did this. Also in their brief, they quoted Trump as saying, along the lines of what you were just saying, this is in their brief.
Yeah.
1 year ago, the United States was a dead country, and now, because of the trillions of dollars being paid by countries that have so badly abused us, America is a strong, financially viable, and respected country again. And let's not forget how that Lutnick wanted to replace the IRS with these tariffs.
But look, Sauer,
yeah,
he has been getting some good voice coaching from RFK.
This is the one area where you are so bigoted against voices. It's the last allowable bigotry. Dave, I know.
Well, against one voice.
Well, there's two voices now.
Yeah.
We're running out of time for you. So, look, you know where I'm going.
Yes.
You've already heard a bit. You know what other stuff there is. What there are other random things you want to say about this case?
Look, I mean, it's still quite hard to guess which way this one is going to go.
I think it's hard too.
There has been a lot of reporting which has been very optimistic about, Supreme Court is so skeptical.
I'm not convinced that
I am not convinced at all. Because yes, they're definitely, some of them are definitely skeptical about a lot of the bullshit that Trump's lawyers are saying, because really, apart from Alito, who wouldn't be? That doesn't mean that they're not, in the end, going to side with the Trump administration.
And I think Katyal did a bad job.
He did not do a good job. No. And the thing is that, in the end, the Supreme Court does tend to be very deferential to the presidency, to the executive on foreign policy issues. And yes, this may seem to be a very weak case, but if they want to, the conservative justices have all kinds of ways of basically deferring their responsibility back to the administration. Yeah.
Yeah, look, I got to say, I mean, look, if I was putting money on it, I would say I think they're going to lose. The government's going to lose this case.
Yeah.
But I definitely not a slam dunk. I think it's probably a 60-40, 65-35 maybe.
Yeah.
And I think that it's going to be on the major questions doctrine that they win it. If they win it, it won't be on all this textual stuff we're talking about. I think they'll lose it on the textual stuff.
Yes, yeah.
But I think the major questions doctrine thing, they might win on that for political reasons, because Roberts really, really wants to make that doctrine stick. Anyway, I'll talk about this with Dill.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I think people are way overconfident in the media.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's, on the balance of probabilities, I'd prefer to be on the learning toys side. But really, really don't know.
Dave, thank you very much. We will see you next week. Might as well, just so people aren't confused.
Yeah.
Are we going to do you reckon we're going to be recording on Thursday or Friday next week?
Thursday next week.
Thursday next week. Okay, all right. So depending on where I'm at, we might actually get this one out on Friday. We'll see.
Next week.
Next week I'm talking about.
Next week's one
next
on
week.
Friday. This one you're going to be listening to probably sometime on Sunday.
I'm pretty sure they're aware that they're going to be listening to this on Saturday night.
Yes.
Next week. So maybe Friday, maybe Saturday. We'll see.
Yeah.
Till then, Dave.
Stay peppy.
Stay peppy. See you guys after the White Flash. Welcome to the other side of the White Flash. This is Chaz Unleashed with Dylan.
G'day. Good to be back.
Hello, Dylan. Great to have you back, mate.
Now let's keep rolling with the tariffs. Let's not lose our train of thought here.
Yeah, let's get the momentum going. So I know you're getting excited. I could see you were bobbing up and down. You're getting so full of energy with the tariff talk.
It's very exciting. It's a big court case.
It is a big court case.
I can see your background in studying law shining through on this one.
Yeah, okay, I'll keep on rolling on. Okay, so I was talking about how they were coming up with creative ways of trying to justify using the word regulate to mean tariffs because the word tariffs isn't in the statute. And Neil Gorsuch, he agreed with the regulate argument that we have already mentioned, the idea that by saying regulate, that could include tariff. Let's have a listen to what he had to say.
The Constitution says that Congress gets to regulate commerce. And everybody understood that that meant and included the power to tariff. Story, Madison, okay? So that's sort of a problem, right? Regulate is a capacious verb. And then you've got the otherwise language as well, which we've sort of discussed. And just on the plain language, forget about the backdrop of major. Do you need major questions to win? I kind of think you might.
He's got such a lovely voice. He should be on NPR.
Capacious.
Great vocabulary too.
Great word, yes.
Yeah, so what he's saying there is he's saying, I think you're going to lose on the wording question, but you might win on the major questions doctrine, which I described before, which we're going to get to soon. Now, Katyal, in response to that, argued that the context of the statute is very different from the phrase that's used in the Constitution. The two contexts are different, he says. Once again, I thought that was a terrible argument. I won't play it. It's confusing. It really is confusing. But there was a simple response available, I thought, which is to say, yes, the Constitution mentioned that Congress had the power to regulate foreign commerce, and we all knew that included tariffs. The reason we all knew that was because Congress had the power to, quote, lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excises in the Constitution. That's what they said. So if it was so self-evident that the word regulate included taxes, duties, imposts, and excises, why'd they say it in the Constitution?
Yeah.
The fact they felt the need to say it shows that it's not self-evident at all. But the important thing here is that Gorsuch had already told him, you're going to lose. This argument isn't going to work, at least with me. Gorsuch also suggested that a tariff is economically identical to charging a fee for a license to export goods. If you say, if for you to export to my country, you need to buy a license, and we'll charge you a fee of 10%, isn't that just a tariff? And the reason why that's relevant is because in IEPA, they specifically say you can have licenses. And you can use the licenses to combat this emergency, whatever it is. So why doesn't that allow tariffs? Asked Gorsuch. And Justice Amy Coney Barrett, she was on board for that one as well. She was kind of hung up on that question. Let's hear what she had to say.
So this license thing is important to me. And do you agree that pursuant to IEPA, the president could regulate commerce by imposing a license fee?
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
Could the president regulate commerce under IEPA by using a licensing fee?
Not a fee. So I should have said this earlier, but license is different from a licensing fee. IEPA and TWIA authorize licenses, not license fees, and no president has ever charged, to my knowledge, fees under those two statutes for the licenses. So fees impermissible, licenses okay.
Fees permissible if they cover the costs of the scheme?
Might be. I mean, but once they start revenue raising, you implicate the most serious concerns.
But I thought you conceded to Justice Gorsuch there was no difference between a tariff and a licensing fee. functionally.
If the licensing fee is just to I didn't concede that. If the licensing fee is just to recoup the cost of government services, I think that may be okay. I don't think you need to get into it. Here, the government is asserting a power which they say in their briefs to you raises $4 trillion.
See, we're back on the revenue raising thing.
This all goes back to the thing you were saying before that Trump isn't doing this to regulate. He wants to make money.
He totally does. He totally does. And so look, it's true. What Katyal's saying is actually true. They are trying to revenue raise. But I'm just saying, if you say to the Supreme Court, this is the test. You're allowed to charge money, but you're not allowed to charge money when it becomes revenue raising. They go, oh, come on. That's not a very bright line. Like they don't like those kinds of really sort of blurry tests. And you could tell that Barrett didn't really like that much. But at the same having said that, I felt really obviously convinced by the lack of use of regulate to mean tariffs in other legislation. So I think she's on board with the statutory argument, the language argument, saying it's not in the statute. Gorsuch was most definitely not on board with the language argument. Roberts, he didn't really tip his hat. So the language argument, it might be 5-4 against 5-4 towards the government on language. Might be 5-4 against the government, depending on Roberts. But Gorsuch was definitely on the side of the Conservatives, and Barrett, I'm pretty sure, was on the side of the Liberals. Okay, but let's turn to the other kind of arguments, which are kind of the more interesting arguments, the constitutional questions. This is when we get to the major questions doctrine, which I described before. Now, Chief Justice Roberts put this pretty well. He flat out said, this is a huge power that you're claiming here. You need to have a good reason to be able to claim this power.
Some time ago, you dismissed the applicability of the major questions doctrine, and I want you to explain that a little bit more. I mean, it seems that it might be directly applicable. You have a claim source, an IEPA, that had never before been used to justify tariffs. No one has argued that it does until this particular case. Congress uses tariffs in other provisions, but not here. And yet, and correct me on this if I'm not right about it, the justification is being used for a power to impose tariffs on any product from any country in any amount for any length of time. That seems like, I'm not suggesting it's not there, but it does seem like that's major authority, and the basis for the claim seems to be a misfit. So why doesn't it apply again?
Well, we agree that it's a major power, but it's in the context of a statute that is explicitly conferring major powers, that the point of the statute is to confer major powers to address major questions, which are emergencies. So it'd be unusual to say, look at the statute and say, we're not going to find a major power here.
Okay, so that argument from Sauer, that really appealed to Brett Kavanaugh. So the argument that's saying, well, this is an emergency statute. It should allow you to deal with an emergency. Yes, it's a major, this is a major power because the Congress explicitly wants us to have a major power. And this is Brett Kavanaugh working his way through that.
It's an emergency statute. And presumably Congress wants to give the president tools to respond to the emergency in an appropriate way. And it seems odd to imagine a meeting in the Oval Office where the president's told, well, we have a problem with, I won't name a country, but country X, and you can stop all trade with that country. I mean, I'm not sure that's a, wise policy to give that much, but it's there, right? You agree it's in this statute. And the president says, well, that's too extreme. I want to calibrate my response to deal with this, and maybe a tariff of some kind. Like, oh, you can't do that. So you're forcing the president to respond to an emergency. And, Justice Alito's raised the point about, a real emergency. And you're taking away the president's suite of tools when the one is much more extreme that is authorized. That just seems a bit unusual. Think about India right now, the tariff on India. right? That's designed to help settle the Russia-Ukraine war, as I understand it. Don't pretend to be an expert. But if that's gone, that's a tool that's designed, talk about foreign-facing, the most serious crisis in the world. And that's out the window.
Okay, so what I would say in response to that, I would say there are other statutes. This is not the only statute on earth. Kavanaugh's saying, well, if you can't use this statute to use tariffs, if you want to fight, if you want to try and stop the Ukraine war with tariffs, what are you going to do then? Oh no, there are other statutes, and I'll tell you what else you can do. You could do what the Constitution tells you to do and get Congress to pass the tariffs, which is what they're meant to do. Just think about this for a second. How perverse and stupid is the idea of saying the only way we can solve this emergency is with a tariff, but we're not going to get Congress to pass the tariff? What kind of emergency doesn't have time to wait for Congress, but will be effectively addressed by a tariff?
That takes a long time to
Yes.
to work.
Tariffs aren't quick.
Yeah.
Tariffs aren't 5 seconds and it's done.
Yeah.
Tariffs are the next 6 months. Tariffs are the next 2 years. You have time to get Congress to pass that. And it's just ridiculous that they come with these ridiculous hypotheticals, none of which reflect anything like reality, where supposedly the president is going to be so restricted in having to and having to not be able to use a tariff when all they need to do is just ask Congress, and Congress will be able to give it to them if Congress wants to. If you're not going over Congress's head, which is the actual issue here, stealing Congress's powers away from them.
You're not saying Trump wants more power, do you? Are you?
I just listen to myself say this. I think I must be getting something wrong because it just sounds wrong. Not Trump of all people.
No, exactly.
Anyway, okay, so I just think this argument is a terrible argument. I mean, like Kavanaugh makes it sound very sensible, but I think when you take a step back, you just go, well, that's ridiculous. Alito also obsessed with these hypothetical emergencies. Here's another one.
So suppose that there was an imminent threat of war, not a declared war, but an imminent threat of war with a very powerful enemy whose economy was heavily dependent on U.S. trade. Could a president under this provision impose a tariff as a way of trying to stave off that war? Or would you say no, the president lacks that power?
Couldn't do tariff, but could do quota, embargo, all of those things.
Could do all those things, but the president could not impose a tariff. That's the one thing he couldn't do.
There's a category shift between a tariff and the other 8 powers in AEPA because it is revenue raising. So it's not a difference in degree or something like that. That's why, I don't doubt tomorrow.
Even if the purpose of this had nothing whatsoever to do with raising 1 penny. The president didn't want to raise 1 penny. The president wanted to deter aggression that would bring the United States into a war. You would say, no, can't do that.
Yeah, just Alito, I think you've said many times the purpose isn't what you look at. You look to actually what the government is doing. And if you disagree, if you think if you ruled for us and the president says, I need this power, he can go across the street to Congress tomorrow and get it by a simple majority through reconciliation.
Thank you. Finally mentioning Congress. I'm so sick to death of hearing Katyal going about revenue raising. Give up the revenue raising angle.
Yep.
Talk about Congress. It's like Jack Bauer in 24 is going to find out where the ticking time bomb is by placing a 25% tariff on the terrorist cheese. It doesn't work like that. If there's an imminent war, you would never address that with a tariff.
No, I don't remember FDR after Pearl Harbor saying, we got to tariff Japan now. Like, it's not designed for that.
No, it's not. It'd be so much like if you want to stop a war with some kind of trade issue, it would be an embargo, or it would be something a lot more hardcore than a tariff. And if you did want to just nibble away at the price of their steel or whatever, go to Congress, dude. That's what they're there for. Makes me very angry. Anyway, Sauer particularly argued that the major questions doctrine doesn't apply here. Because it doesn't apply in areas where the president has particular or inherent authority, like, for instance, in foreign affairs. Now, unlike tariffs, unlike trade, unlike war powers, which are congressional powers, foreign affairs power, that's the president, right? And so he says when it comes to that kind of stuff, the president has particular authority. And so the major questions doctrine doesn't apply. He's just using foreign affairs power, which is his. This is how he put it.
Would you spend a few minutes on why exactly the major question doctrine doesn't apply to the president in this case?
Yes, Justice Thomas, and I may make 2 or 3 points on that front. First of all, though the major questions doctrine may apply to the president in other contexts, specifically in the foreign affairs context where he has his own inherent Article II authority, it's a particularly poor fit to apply the major questions doctrine.
And this is when Gorsuch went into Hulk Gorsuch mode. Gorsuch said, okay, if you can use foreign affairs power to take over Congress's taxing authority, what's to stop the president using that power to just take everything over from Congress? Like, say, Congress's war powers kind of overlap with foreign affairs as well, don't they?
I want to explain to me how you draw the line, because you say we shouldn't be concerned because this is foreign affairs and the president has inherent authority, and so delegation off the books, more or less. And if that's true, what would prohibit Congress from just abdicating all responsibility to regulate foreign commerce, for that matter, declare war, to the president?
We don't contend that he could do that. If it did,
why not?
Well, because we're dealing with a statute, again, that has a whole series
I'm not
of
asking about the
limitations.
statute. General, I'm not asking about the statute. I'm asking for your theory of the Constitution and why the major questions of non-delegation, what bite it would have in that case.
Yes, I would say by then you would move from the area where there's enormous deference to the president, actually both the political branches, where here there's inherent authority, and piled on top of that there's a broad delegation.
You're saying there's inherent authority in foreign affairs, all foreign affairs. So regulate commerce, duties and tariffs and war. It's inherent authority all the way down, you say. Fine. Congress decides tomorrow, well, we're tired of this legislating business. We're just going to hand it all off to the president. What would stop Congress from doing that?
That would be different than a situation where there are metes and bounds, so to speak. It would be a wholesale application.
You say we are not here to judge metes and bounds when the foreign affairs. That's what I'm struggling with. What's the reason to accept the notion that Congress can hand off the power to declare war to the president?
Well, we don't contend that. Again, that would be...
you do. You say it's unreviewable. There's no manageable standard, nothing to be done. And now I think tell me if I'm wrong. You backed off that position.
Maybe that's fair to say.
Okay,
because
all right.
That would be, I think, an abdication. That would really be an abdication, not a delegation.
I'm delighted to hear that.
He's so dry. And then Gorsuch went even further to see just how broadly these powers could theoretically be used.
Could the president impose a 50% tariff on gas-powered cars and auto parts to deal with the unusual and extraordinary threat from abroad of climate change?
It's very likely that could be done. Very likely.
I think that has to be the logic of your view.
Yeah, in other words, obviously this administration would say that's a hoax, it's not a real crisis, but...
I'm sure you would.
Yes, but that would be a question for Congress under our interpretation, not for the courts.
All right.
And by the way, when Neil Gorsuch is talking about climate change tariffs, he doesn't like climate change tariffs. That is...
Great news for the EV industry.
It is. They'd be very pleased to hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, you know what, just between you and me, Dill, I think they knew already what Neil Gorsuch's opinions about them are. Yeah. Okay, so that was basically how these arguments went. So Neil Gorsuch definitely is on board on the major questions doctrine against the administration. Mm-hmm. No doubt about that. He was kind of really into that. One point they didn't discuss, which kind of annoyed me a bit when they were trying to work out Congress's intent, was, remember when this was passed in 1977, Congress actually gave Congress a simple legislative majority veto over any move the president made in this legislation. They said if the Congress doesn't like what the emergency is, they can veto it. bang, no more emergency. But then the Supreme Court said the legislative veto was unconstitutional, and they struck it down in like 1982, I think, from memory, a couple of years later, which is fine. But either way, Congress never intended for this legislation to just allow the president just take over lots of congressional powers.
No.
They were intending for Congress to be able to easily take them back, and now they can't because the tool they were going to use is gone, the legislative veto. Also, the biggest dog that didn't bark in this case, which really annoyed me, was just how ridiculous these emergencies are. We talked about it before.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that's the biggest problem, that Trump just uses these obvious pretexts that just aren't real emergencies and just calls them emergencies.
Things that have been happening for a long time.
Yeah, or things that just clearly aren't an emergency to anyone, like Ontario running an ad about Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
Sotomayor at one point noted how stupid the emergencies are, like the ad run by Canada. She noted that. The prosecution of Bolsonaro in Brazil, she noted that. But she explicitly said she wasn't going to make the argument that they were a pretext. I wish she had, because I actually think that's not only is it a strong argument, but I also think it's the biggest problem in this administration at the moment. They keep on misusing emergency power. So I wish the Supreme Court would just stop them, but they're not trying. Stanford University's Michael McConnell put this quite well in debate recently, which I'll quote him. When Congress added the words unusual and extraordinary when it drafted AEPA, those words did not appear in the Trading with the Enemy Act, which was the original act. They were added specifically in response to President Nixon's use of the Trading with the Enemy Act in a way which Congress disapproved of. Those are new words, unusual and extraordinary. They are in there. And even if we give the president a significant dollop of deference, even with deference, there is no way that the trade deficit problem can be seen as unusual and extraordinary. Trump's description of it in the executive order is that it has been persistent. And he talks about it, uses data going back decades. Persistent is practically the antonym of unusual and extraordinary.
That's true.
I think that's a great point. But that didn't come up. They just left it, which is a shame. Anyway, result, like I said to Dave, I reckon the majority are going to say this violates the major questions doctrine. Why I say that? I say there's probably going to be 5 votes, because Gorsuch is definitely going to say that. Roberts seems to be leaning this way, and it's very useful for Roberts as a case to do that, because the major questions doctrine has been applied a number of times against only Joe Biden and no other president. It was applied against Joe Biden for about eviction moratoriums during the pandemic and against his student loan reforms. It's never been applied against a Republican. And they're going to want to bed this doctrine down, because Roberts in particular loves this doctrine. And by applying against a Republican president, it makes it much more powerful as a precedent. And so it would suit them to apply it here, I think. And so I think they're going for political reasons. There may be 6 votes with Barrett. We'll see. I mean, but Barrett, I think, is interested in a completely different aspect of this case, not the major questions doctrine.
And then if that happens, tariff money gets refunded? What happens then?
Well, that's a great question. That's because actually, theoretically, yes, they should refund it. When you got an unfair tax, you should refund it.
Yeah, wow.
And at the moment, you're talking about maybe $150 billion.
Chump change.
Yeah, well, it's money, but I tell you what, if they don't return their verdict until July next year,
there'll be more.
That could be $300 billion.
Yeah.
That could be a lot more. So if they want to strike us down, they better get moving. In fact, at one point in time in this case, they discussed how are you going to pay it back if we strike it down, and Katyal was like, let's talk about this another time. It's just, let's not get into that. But yeah, theoretically, they have to pay it back.
Wow.
Having said that, as far as the tariffs go, there are so many tariff laws on the books. I reckon Trump can largely replicate these tariffs with some of the other tariffs on the books. He just needs to, he has to limit his tariffs to begin with at 15%. There's a general tariff you can issue 15% for 150 days.
So these ones that have already been passed by Congress?
Yeah.
These are old tariffs?
Yeah.
These he can tweak.
That he can tweak. Yeah. These are tariff rules that the president can take advantage of.
Great.
Yeah. They're on the books. Congress has allowed the president to do this.
Yeah.
So he can apply 15% tariff to almost anything for 150 days. So now that's not 50% or 60% or 40%, but it's 15. And during that 150 days, he can conduct a bunch of investigations, which you need to do for some of the other statutes, and then he can apply greater tariffs. Presumably he'll rig the investigations to give him what he wants. And then he'll be able to apply greater tariffs as a result of those investigations. In the end, I think he can largely replicate the tariffs he's got. Pretty close. Maybe not China exactly, but pretty close. Which is, I think, is what he'll do, of course, because he'll never take the L. The irony is if he did take the L, he'd be much better off because his tariffs aren't helping him. If he lost the IEPA tariffs, he'd still be left with a bunch of tariffs against China and a few other countries. America's average tariff rate would still be 9%. According to the Al Budget Lab, what that would mean is an increase in the price level through next year of only 0.6% rather than 1.3, which is what...
So inflation would come down.
Yeah. Inflation would come down 0.7%.
Yeah. You think Trump would want that, but anyway.
You would think so. It'd be a reduction in annual US household income in 2026 of only $770 rather than $1,800. So it's $1,000 more spending money for Americans. You'd think he'd like that. Affordability.
I can see the Democrats having a cost of living argument for getting rid of some of these tariffs, Chaz.
I can see that too, Dylan. I've had little speeches where I've talked to people about tariffs and argued with various people, and I have long suggested that the Democrats are on track to become a free trade party on cost of living grounds because of Trump. I can see him saying, the easiest way to improve affordability is get rid of the tariffs.
Well, maybe not Bernie, but everyone else.
And an increase in unemployment of 0.2 percentage points by the end of 2026 instead of 0.7, so 0.5% less unemployment. And finally, a reduction in 2026 economic growth of only 0.1 of a percentage point instead of 0.5, 0.4% more GDP growth. So these are all... If he just took the L, he'd be so much better off for the midterms. He's not going to. He can still do these tariffs, but in the meantime, he might have to pay back a few $100 billion, and that will be a nuisance to him.
That would be annoying.
Now, Dale, I believe you have your own report. Very similar.
Two things very quickly. First of all, did C-SPAN run this audio recording for like 4 hours on TV? 100%. This is riveting television right here by C-SPAN. Just one graphics person swapping back and forth between the different heads.
Why are the ratings on C-SPAN not higher? I don't understand.
I know. The thing I wanted to talk about, Chaz...
very similar to this, the tariffs case.
Slightly less money involved. I think it's only going to save America $50 million a year, but we need to pour one out. Rest in peace. Vale... the American penny. The last penny was printed this week.
It's gone.
The last one rolled off the production line. Now, for context, Australia got rid of their 1 cent pieces in 1991, New Zealand in 1987, and Canada in 2012. So I think this is a good policy direction by Trump here. I would argue one of his most common sense policy ideas here, and little bit later than the other countries.
Back in probably March, I put this as my grateful when I first heard he wanted to do this.
Yes,
I said this is a policy I can back.
Yes,
I was just so happy to embrace a Trumpian policy that I didn't have to go, but there's also a bit crap. I said, no, I like it. Get rid of the bloody penny.
We both traveled to America, and it drives you crazy having a pocket full of shrapnel.
Yes.
But one thing that Trump hasn't done, so I'm old enough to remember when we got rid of the 1 and 2 cent coins here, and the ACCC consumer advocate equivalent at the time, the Price Surveillance Authority, actually issued guidance to the whole country, and they had these printed out and in shops, and they stuck around longer than the COVID QR codes have, because you would go to pay something and there would be federal guidance of, if it's 1 and 2 cents, you round down. If it's 4 and 5, you round up. As far as I know, the US federal government has offered no guidance on this whatsoever, and everyone just has to figure it out for themselves.
So if a consumer thinks you should round down, and the shop thinks you should round up, you just arm wrestle.
It's at the discretion of the store, really. And the reason is, I was reading, The Hill was saying that there's 10 localities that prohibit local localities that prohibit businesses rounding cash transactions. And then there's a bunch of other rules involving SNAP beneficiaries can't pay more than someone paying cash or something like that. So once again, I think this is a probably a good policy by Trump, badly implemented, and everyone's left to figure it out for themselves.
But it's happening.
It is.
No
yes.
more pennies.
And I'm looking forward to my next trip to America. Hope maybe they'll get rid of the dollar bills next. We'll see what happens.
Wow, yeah. We can only hope. They'll make my grateful as well.
So that's my
filthy, those dollar bills.
That's my 2 cents. They are. They get They get absolutely filthy.
But the 2 cents. They don't have 2 cents, do they?
No. So it's my 1 cent.
It's your nickel.
Yeah.
It's your nickel. Okay. Just to finish off. Oh, maybe we shouldn't. I'm just looking at the time. Okay, very quick. Very quick.
Not normal.
Not normal.
Not normal.
We'll just do
very
not normal.
This is good. This is a good one.
Yeah. Okay.
This is not normal.
A few quick stories. I'm kind of going over time a bit more as we get towards the end of the year because we're about to run out of peps. Now, we've spoken before about how Bill Pulte seems to have corruptly and illegally pulled private mortgage records of Letitia James in order to try to set her up with a, forgive the phrase, trumped-up charge. Now, he's the director of the Federal Housing Finance Agency. We discussed him before. He was being investigated for this process by corruptly accessing private records just to stitch up the charges. He was being investigated by organisation watchdogs from the Federal Housing Finance Agency. They'd received internal complaints and they were looking into it. And they sent their findings to the FHFA's Office of the Inspector General, which then sent it on to the US Attorney's Office in Eastern Virginia. That's serious. If they're sending off their findings to the US Attorney's Office, that means he might get prosecuted. Maybe he broke the law. Maybe that's what they found, right? Otherwise, you wouldn't send it off to an attorney. Juicy stuff. But you know who the US Attorney in Eastern Virginia is?
No.
It's Lindsay Halligan.
Right.
The hack that Trump appointed to get James Comey and Letitia James.
Of course.
Right? So once she received the findings, those watchdog staffers all got immediately sacked. There's about a dozen of them. They all got sacked for doing their job.
Oh, dear.
Bill Pulte said, of course, had nothing to do with him. They were just too focused on DEI, he said. That's why they got sacked. Not because they're completely corrupt in that department. And when someone caught one of them, they just sacked the watchdogs to shut them up. Dylan.
Not normal.
Not normal. Okay, another one. These are all quick ones. FIFA is going to award next month in Washington a peace prize. FIFA, the football group, are going to award a peace prize.
Are we allowed to call them corrupt? I think the New York Times did.
I think we can. It's going to be awarded to individuals who, through their unwavering commitment and their special actions, have helped to unite people all over the world in peace and consequently deserve a special and unique recognition. It's going to be presented, Dylan, on December 5 at the John F. Kennedy Center. Do you remember who is the chair of the John F. Kennedy Center?
It might be the current sitting president.
Yes, he appointed himself to be the chair of the John F. Kennedy Center. I wonder who's going to win FIFA's Peace Prize. I wonder. You could not get more brazenly suck-uppy and indulgent, Dylan. Dylan?
This is not normal.
And finally, Trump apparently wants the Washington Commanders' new $3.7 billion NFL stadium to be named after him. He's asked for it, apparently. Now, to be clear, this would cost the team hundreds of millions of dollars if they did this.
Because they'd lose sponsorship
rights.
Yeah,
they would have naming rights. It'd be called the Trump Stadium, not whatever. But according to a senior White House source, there have been back-channel communications with a member of the Commanders ownership group over this question. Now, I hear that story, and the way I'm conditioned is I just go, anonymous source, people hate Trump, they're out to get him. This is a bullshit story. That's what this is. That's my instinct, right? But you know what? What's so great about Trump 2.0 is you don't need to guess. They go on the record in Trump 2.0. They got no shame at all. So Karen Levitt just said, flat out, That would be a beautiful name, as it was President Trump who made the rebuilding of the new stadium possible. She didn't deny it. She didn't say, oh, no, let's not be silly. She didn't laugh it off. No, she said, no, that's great. They should do that. They absolutely should do that. I hope they do that. So I think I'd take that as a confirmation from her. Otherwise, she would have denied it. And the senior White House source says it's what the president wants, and it will probably happen. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't care what they say. Who's going to just set up in a bonfire $300 or $400 million?
Isn't this the stadium you got booed at last week?
Yes, it's exactly the stadium. I know, it makes no sense.
To commemorate the great response, name it after me.
Makes no sense whatsoever, Dill. But importantly, it's not normal.
Definitely not normal.
And finally, for the ultimate not normal, J. Michael Luttig is an ex-judge who's a retired judge. He's written a column detailing all the authoritarianism from Trump. It's like the full. It's a very long article. It's got everything you need. It's definitely not normal. It's unusually thorough for an article. It's from the Atlantic. What it describes is definitely also not normal. I'll put it in the homework. I'll give you a gift article version so you don't have to pay for it because it's the Atlantic. It's a doozy. J. Michael Luttig is very good at this. Dale, thank you so much. Do you got anything to share before we go, or are we out of here?
Looking forward to reading that article, and thanks for having me.
Thank you, Dill. As always, I'll see you next week. And I'll see all of you next week as well. Till then, stay peppy.